welcome to Xena, our podcast.
Oh, Marias, I've missed you.
Oh, Marias. My name is Vera, and I'm joined, as always, by my two clairvoyant co-hosts, Katie.
Hello.
And Livy.
I'm not clairvoyant. I'm Claire Stansfield.
Because you're wearing the eyeliner right now.
I am, yeah.
Like, full blown.
The antler hat.
Okay.
That's what I wear around my house to relax.
We are talking about the first episode of season 4 today.
Season 4.
That's insanity.
Oh my god. It is, every time we go into Hulu and have to go to a new season, I'm always just like, what?
But Hulu's always trying to show season 1 again.
Or the last episode of season
that's true.
6.
That's true.
It gives you the most recent episode, so there's always the finale.
Yeah.
Right there.
Thanks for that reminder, Hulu.
Yeah, well, it has to be watched daily, so.
Season 4, you guys. This is a big season.
This is, I think, my favorite season.
Yeah.
But I feel like the rewatch has really helped me to clarify my feelings a lot of the time. So
Claire
I wonder.
Stanfield.
Yeah, Claire Stansfieldify my feelings. So we'll see. We'll see if it holds up on the rewatch. Certainly, these episodes, the Sin Trades, they absolutely hold up.
For sure.
And they introduced, I think, Vera's favorite thing in the whole show.
Beautiful, vivid camera work.
Oh.
That's been there.
The season 4 prophecy.
Well, we're not there yet.
I know we're not there yet.
This is part
this
1.
is just part 1.
We're talking about season 4 as a whole.
Season 4 as a whole has literally my favorite thing ever. The thing that seared itself into me when I watched it. When I think of Xena, I think of this arc.
The very first time I remember Vera talking to me about Xena, all she told me was, oh my god, Liv, there's this part where Xena has a prophecy and she sees Gabrielle with the short hair, and you're like, but she has long hair. This must be in the future. And then guess what? Later in the season, she cuts her hair, and you're like, oh no. That is literally what Vera said to me. And I was like, yeah, this show sounds good. Okay, sure.
It broke my little mind.
Haircut drama.
It was so monumental. Nothing was like this. So it is one of my favorite things ever on this show, for sure.
I think it's very well constructed. It is tight. Season 3 obviously had these great serialized elements, but it felt more like it kind of came together, all these different parts kind of woven, and eventually it became a rug. Whereas here, it knows what it wants to do from the beginning.
Yes.
You really feel that deliberate nature.
Yeah, I mean, it was so there's such confidence in the beginning of the season, and I mean, you can read interviews with Rob and RJ and co. They knew that they were gonna hit these huge things, so they were kind of ready to start the season strong.
Yeah, and this is not just strong, but just bold.
Yeah.
Stylistically, I think the decision to leave Renee out of the titles, I love it.
Oh,
I feel like that's a
me
show
too.
that just is we're going to mess with you, but we know exactly what we're doing.
Right,
So
and
you
if
better
she's
trust
seen
us.
on set, she's playing Hope.
Oh, yeah, of course. Hope's going to be Xena's new
Your sidekick,
companion.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that seemed to have caused some drama. I feel like
The fans did not like being manipulated, which I appreciate. Nobody really does.
No.
But
Guys.
that is part of loving the
I think
show.
it's great that they
Being
did it, and
manipulated.
also it was also not quite in a place where shows could do that and be successful at it. You know what I mean?
You know what? My example right now, because season 4 and this example goes hand in hand with multiple arcs, and I'm talking about The Walking Dead. And
What? Get out of here.
Because when they killed, quote unquote, killed Glenn, they left him out of the credits to mess with people.
And it was successful.
The first time, guys.
Yeah. The time they actually killed him, they also left him out of the credits.
Yeah, well, he hasn't come back. But anyway, yeah, the other one is to put a giant pin in it. It involves Morgan, and I will get back to it.
Okay.
Oh, wait,
You
that's
mentioned
Walking
this.
Dead?
Yeah, because I was so mad about it.
Wow, all right.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there were so many Walking Dead parallels in Xena.
Boo.
Xena did it first.
For sure, and that's why I'm so mad about it. Well, Shall we
Yeah.
begin, or is there any more like overall season 4?
Well, I have one Patreon
Ooh.
thank you to give.
Yes.
Okay, so today you're just dressed as Alti. You're not naked, is what I'm saying.
No, I'm not
Usually you're
naked.
naked doing this part about
But
the
the
Patreon.
thank you video has like some problematic parts where she's like thanking India and stuff.
Yeah,
so I mean,
we're
that's
ready
why
for
it's
season
becoming
4.
the official song
Yes,
of Xena
yes.
Warrior podcast. But anyway, we have just one thank you today.
Okay.
So thank you, Sarah B. Thank you, silence. And Sarah B.
Silence.
Isn't that the words? I don't
Yeah.
know. I haven't actually listened to this song since recycling it for the podcast.
I needed to lose all of its like original lyrics and have only podcast related lyrics.
Oh my
so.
god, we'll work on it. That'll be a Patreon exclusive.
All right, guys, we are ready to go into
Adventures.
into sinning.
Oh my
Interesting.
god, that's what we do every week here at Xena Warrior Podcast.
401 Adventures in the Sin Trade, Part 1.
This is the top 10 episode for me.
Yes, same
Yes.
here.
Just this one or like together?
I get the first part is my favorite. Like the second
Okay.
part is much more full of stuff and crazier
It's
even than the
crazier,
first part.
yeah.
But I guess if we can put everything as like if two parters count as one, then yes.
Because like when you think of the debt, do you think of
No,
debt
you-
part 1?
no,
You just
no.
think of the debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels more like a complete story. I mean, maybe that's a problem with these two episodes and that they are very distinct. I actually think the second part, like, I just agreed with you that it was crazier, but I think in some ways it's more conventional, you know? It's more
Right.
like big fights,
Yeah.
you know? Whereas this is like a, you know, hallucinogenic mood poem.
Yes.
Story by Rob Tappert and RJ Stewart, and teleplay by RJ Stewart, directed by TJ
Jay Scott! No, he's back! When did we last see TJ? It was a while ago.
Yeah.
Was it Girls Just Want to Have Fun?
Maybe.
No way. Are you serious?
Return of Callisto?
Maybe.
Oh my gosh, we're so bad. Look at us being bad and not remembering.
Well, season 2.
Did we miss him?
It was season 2 and
I
we
did.
missed him. I mean,
Okay.
season 2 feels like an age ago.
But season 3,
season 3 became the Oli Sassoon year.
that's
which
right. I was like,
obviously-
I didn't miss him season 3. Why? Oli.
because of Oli, I mean,
Yeah.
who is a great director in his own right and very
Yes.
different from
Yes.
TJ Scott, but I think scratched some of that itch, you know.
Yeah,
He's
because
an
he
auteur.
was doing also like shots reminiscent of TJ. So
I assume he was very influenced by TJ. I mean, I always
Yeah.
say about TJ that he was, I think he laid down a visual style that the other big Xena directors all kind
Yeah.
of used in their own ways. Rob, I'm sure, was influenced by TJ. Absolutely Oli in season 3. Maybe even Mark Beasley with his goddess fights, because certainly, you know, TJ directed
Beasley
Callisto.
hasn't gotten to the place that I need him to get to. This episode hit. They film in a location where Mark Beasley's like one of his greatest Legend of the Seeker episodes was filmed. Now
Ooh.
that is like that's peak.
Is that
Peak Beasley.
mud riverbed?
It's like that. Yeah, it's like the thing where they fight the goons at the end with
The
the berserker.
berserker.
Yeah, that location. There's
Yeah,
an
that's a
amazing
great location.
Legend of the Seeker episode dealing with that.
Well, maybe right out the gate, let's talk about the locations, because I think they are in part what make this episode so distinctive, is that they traveled, maybe for one of the first times, really
Yeah.
like went beyond their studio
Yeah.
to the plateaus of the central part of the North Island. I think I have that geography right.
Even further than where they went for the debt.
I believe so, yeah. And it looks very different than the dead.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's gorgeous. I mean, this episode feels like money.
Yeah,
That's
The
what
scope of it
it's
is
so
beyond.
insane.
It makes me cry. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
In places, it almost like, you know, you expect it to have a certain look because it's Xena, and then like you'll have a shot that's just like, I don't know, like 100 people on the side of a mountain there with Cyan in the land of the dead.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's just like 100 extras. High money, like
Yeah.
high Xena.
I said it before, I think, but I'm going to say it again. TJ Scott is the Miguel Sapochnik of Xena Warrior Princess. That is the best director of Game of Thrones. He is brought in to do crazy, amazing, gorgeous visual stuff that changes the game. That's why he's coming back for like so much of the last season.
The last season, yeah, that's
because
great.
He's that
you
amazing.
wish TJ could have done that for
Yeah,
Xena in
that's
some
what
ways.
I mean. But I feel like, no, he came back and he had this.
To do this.
You know,
These
this
are
is
his final episodes.
biggest episodes.
Yeah. And I do feel that this look that he kind of lays down in Sin Trade totally connects to A Friend in Need for me. I feel like this level of just kind of dreamlike intensity and the location shooting, like this. Yeah,
well,
this is late Xena.
I would say season 6 is the season that has the most what we call like modern looking, gorgeous, glorious filmography like ever. So this is very close.
Yeah,
this
is getting
feels
there.
very modern. That's what
this is mature Xena now.
Yeah.
We've definitely moved. I mean, we're in the second half of the show now. Like we're beyond the growing pains of like what is our look, what is our feel, what can we do as a television show,
and
like,
grow. How do we change?
Yeah. So I think this is the final change in some ways that happens, which is it becomes this crazy mofo.
Why don't we recap a bit?
Sure. Gabrielle is dead.
Previously, Gabrielle
is
is dead. She fell into a lava pit. Mm-hmm. People were waiting 4 months, I guess, for this to come back, right? And that's, I love a good cliffhanger because you stress out about it all summer. Mm-hmm. And then it opens like the best open
ever.
Maybe ever.
I get the chills just thinking about it.
So good.
In a previous podcast, Olivia, I think it was like Gabrielle's reacting to Dead Xena for the first time, season 1. You described it as being like, I don't want to be in the epicenter of this grief storm. And I feel like that's a good phrase for this episode because you're just like, you are in it.
Yeah.
You are really in it.
And part of that is TJ's camera work, which just immediately, it is a grief story. Like, it's so just, like, jittery and, like, you just feel like Xena's emotions are what you're seeing on the screen all the time. Yeah, just those close shots of her face riding at first on Argo and then later on poor other horse.
Poor black horse.
These are just like super close, like doing the TJ thing with the shutter speed and her going, yeah! And it's just, it's so like fierce, but you feel how sad it is, We've never heard the war cry expressed in just this way, where you have just such unbearable pain in it.
Right. The opening, I mean, that is literally, I mean, I'm not kidding when I say it's like the most vivid shots of Xena because they're stunning. She's full blown
riding that horse.
Her hair looks really good. It's like a little wet.
I was gonna say like a rocket of emotion.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is.
Rage.
Yeah.
Rage ride.
Yeah. And just it's insane the footage that he was able to capture.
Well, like he's very notable in style for like the extreme close-ups. So you get a lot of that.
Yeah, but they're like gorgeous here. They always like hit their mark, We talked about like extreme close-ups for Xena's face. I forget, Sacrifice or something like that.
Yes.
And this episode is just like so full of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
To the point where I maybe half the episode is extreme close-ups of Xena's face.
Right. No, it's and
that's my adventure in the Sin Trade.
I'm just gonna say right now, this is the most gorgeous she's ever looked.
Yes, I think so. This is like just the
film
makeup
is kissing
so on
her
point.
face.
Yeah,
it just loves her so much.
Yeah, so beautiful. I like the hair or whatever. I mean, you don't
the
see
bangs
that
are
much
up.
of it.
That's the thing, man. It's the bangs are up. And she's just stunning.
Yeah.
She looks great with bangs too, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I really also just think it's nice, like she doesn't spend most of the episode in her warrior princess outfit, obviously, but its appearance here at the beginning is nice. She looks really good in it somehow. Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on.
There's so many aspects that are making everything look so stunning. They have very poor weather right now.
Oh, so bad.
It does not stop raining this episode.
But it's also like very, like when she meets Hades, it's just maybe raining just right.
Yeah,
where it just,
there's like this
everything
kind of gauzy quality to it.
The grading, the bluish grading also is amazing.
Brings out her eyes.
Yeah, I mean, Hades himself looks really badass. Like, this episode has, the word that I would describe it as style. Like,
Yes.
that is the most incredible style.
Well, and it's using it
Yes,
for
so-
the story
exactly.
and the emotion. Like, the rain, the blue, like, the bleakness.
Yeah.
It's all part of, like, her inner landscape as
Yeah.
well
Right.
as the show's outer landscape.
Yeah.
Also, massive props to editor Robert Field because TJ overshot footage. Like, there's a lot.
That's how TJ is TJ. Is
Right.
because he clearly just shoots everything and
Yeah.
anything.
And our wonderful editor made it look amazing.
Yeah, and pulled it together and made it feel like, in some ways, I would say this episode feels like an extended montage. You have just all these dissolves kind of between different worlds and, just Xena traveling, Xena performing all these rituals alone. I think the editing is doing a lot of work in just like connecting all of this stuff into a form that you can experience.
Yeah, and also lots of props to all the horse riding. There's a lot of gorgeous, glorious horse riding in this one too. So we begin with this amazing opening sequence of Xena grief writing on Argo, and she meets up with Hades. So Hades is very busy doing his job, which is going to like a burnt up village and sorting everyone into their respective afterlives.
It's great to see like the bureaucracy
Yeah.
of death, and it just sucks. Like, I feel like Hades does not like his job. He's
No.
like, I'm kind of busy here, all right?
Yes.
Huge backlog. I don't know
It's a
where your
massacre.
friend is. God. Yeah, I love just his, like, Tartarus, Elysian Fields, Elysian Fields, Tartarus. Like, those are people's souls and lives. And, later in the episode, we see what a big deal it is, you know, putting people
Yeah.
where they're supposed to go after death. And, like, Hades just treats it like, ugh.
But I think, he doesn't make mistakes. I don't think so. It's not.
No.
It's not like that. He's just
He's
it's
just
a
busy.
really he's a busy guy. I think he looked amazing. He is my
those
favorite
boots.
Hades.
What do you think of those boot shots?
I think they're great. It is interesting though that he shops in the same store as the Berserker.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh,
it is weird
the
that they have
black
the same.
studded
Yeah.
leather thing.
Right.
I thought the cuts between Xena riding up to Hades on the horse and then like Hades' boots, like there are all these like sinister shots of just his boots, and I was like, who's this guy that Xena's riding in to kill? Like, it's that opening gives you a very different idea of what scene you're going to see.
Well, it's like the opening of Callisto with Callisto walking
That's
around.
true. So this clearly is a big...
I'm totally into this kind
this
of
is
reveal.
a TJ thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it works really well because...
And it cut really well because
yeah.
it went from Argo's legs galloping to his legs. So,
Yeah.
like, as a cutting style.
I also just really like once you have this conversation with Xena and Hades, I think the camera must be set up really far away and then it's just like zoomed in really tight on their
long
faces.
lens.
So all the time you have people and like smoke and stuff
Yeah.
crossing into the shot. Like half of it is blurry because of this. Like you just can't quite get a good look at
Yeah.
Xena here. Which I thought was a cool way to introduce you to the character after a 4-month cliffhanger. You know, you're like, I want to be there with you, Xena, and I can't quite see you. I can tell you're in pain. The other thing that I thought was interesting about it is, like, as soon as, like, Xena rides away from Greece, and you have these, like, wide open landscapes, like, it's such a difference. Like, you don't have people crossing into the frame
Yeah.
anymore like this. This is a big TJ thing from Callisto. He would often have, you know, like, fire in the
Yes.
foreground and the actual scene happening in the background. So
Yeah.
I liked seeing some of these Callisto-y things coming back just for this first scene.
It's a great first scene. I mean, this teaser is maybe the best teaser out of all the teasers, just because it's just insane how good it is. Xena demands to see Gabrielle, and she's like, come on, you owe me. Where is she? And he's like, I don't know what she's talking about. She's not here.
I haven't seen her.
Yeah. And she's like, you want to see Solon? I can do that. Like,
I love that she's like, no. He doesn't need to know about my problems.
Oh, that was
It's
sad.
very, like, yeah.
Somewhere Solon is hearing her thoughts being like, Mom, I love hearing about your problems.
Remember that time I helped fix like your massive issues last year?
Yeah, I'm like your
I
couples
love your
counselor.
problems.
I also liked Zeta's line about, I'm not interested in your workload.
Hades.
I was calling him Hercules. Oh, no.
He's not in control of Gabrielle for whatever reason, even though she's Greek.
She's Greek, right? But
Right.
he's like, does she belong to any orders or like religions or anything like that? And Xena's like, oh fuck, she's an Amazon.
So they have a different land of the dead. Now, it has been pointed out that Gabrielle did go to the Elysian Fields and is their doctor in the house. And also in other episodes involving the Amazons, they talk about how they go to see Artemis. This is the new
Conveniently
for this episode.
rewritten. Yeah, to make it work.
And you know what? Who gives a fuck? Because I love this development a lot. Because I think one of my favorite things about this show, and as it goes on this season, is that they have introduced this idea that people in this system are controlled by these Greek gods, right? Mm-hmm. But if you go outside of that system, then you're going to get like fucked with.
Yeah, because
And
each
that
thing is
is
its
gonna
own
be a
thing.
thing. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's great because we're finally opening up the world of Xena Warrior Princess, right? This is for the first time we're going to start exploring other cultures, other mythology.
Other
This
religions.
season in particular is
Yeah.
very interested in
we've gotten-
the comparative religions.
Yeah,
Yes.
we've gotten a tiny taste in Chin.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, we had some Buddhism in Chin. We obviously have had some vague attempts at Christianity, but that's going
that's
to
gonna
become
change, yeah.
more prominent
Yes.
here.
The jar
But-
is open, right?
The
Oh, it
jar
is.
is
It's waiting.
open
It's
and
waiting for-
yeah.
So Hades doesn't know where the Amazons go, and he's like, "Do you?" And Xena definitely knows.
She's like, I do. She says it to herself after he's like he flounces off on his chariot.
I loved that
It's
shot.
a great
I think
shot.
he looks. I don't know. I'm really into Hades in this episode. He just looked like it looked like a real chariot that this dude was. I mean, I know they are always real chariots, but like it looked real this time.
I mean, I think this whole scene is great in that it has this like grit to
Like
it.
he looked really powerful,
Yeah.
like a Greek god,
Yeah.
even though he's like shorter than Lucy.
Usually you see him in like those Beetlejuice sets, like
Yes.
Mortal Beloved, where
Right.
he's
Yes.
faintly ridiculous in his like velvet robe.
Right.
And here he just feels like he's a working guy. He's busy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's something real about it. Like I could definitely see a god doing these things
Yeah.
and just being like, Xena, I really don't have time for you and your problems. Bye.
Oh, I did love that line delivery before we leave the scene where she says, I just want to know where my friend went after she died. It was just like a great
It's a good-
line
yeah.
delivery in her face.
She's
so
perfect.
many face journeys
She's
she goes
perfect
on
in this episode. It's insane how perfect she is.
What do you think? I mean, it's clearly just an emotional flailing. Like she isn't thinking about saving Gabrielle from
She
death.
just wants to see her.
She just needs to know that she's okay.
Yeah.
Wherever she is.
And maybe once she did that, then the
Then
next
she'd probably try
Yeah,
to
she'd
get
have
her
the
to
out
plan
there.
would
Yep,
kick in.
yep.
Yeah.
But I like that for Xena, she only sees like the next step of the plan. She never sees the end result. Like so for her, it's about finding out where Gabrielle is and seeing Gabrielle, and then you can totally believe that something else would happen after that.
So we have this really extreme wide shot of Xena and two horses. Horses neighing in the distance. That was the subtitles.
It's this like beautiful like riverbed, I think. Very like black earth.
I guess volcanic sand.
Yeah, volcanic sand.
So we have these two horses. We have Argo and we have the black horse. We have a lot of like extreme close-ups of the horse's eyes, which is really cool.
There's a lot of that in this episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of it is important and some of it is maybe just
all of it
style.
is
I mean,
important.
it's all important because these
all
are
of it is
characters.
important.
Yeah,
you
feel-
have Argo. She's
Argo
saying
is the
she can't
character.
take Argo,
Yeah.
so she puts all her stuff onto the black horse.
And Argo, I don't think is enjoying being
Argo,
left
of
behind.
course not. No. And then, once she rides off, you see the close up of the black horse's eye being like, what the fuck is going to happen here?
Yeah.
Like, it's ominous, it's upsetting. And sort of,
that horse is like, I don't want to go.
yeah, like, why are you
Jeez.
taking me? Like, what? I thought this was such a great moment because Xena knows that she's going to kill this horse.
Mm-hmm.
And she's riding this horse to this horse's death. And part of it is that she doesn't want to be doing this. Like, she doesn't
Yeah.
want to be doing any of this stuff.
Yeah, this is, as she's about to say in the voiceover, a path that she had rejected. So to pick it back up again, I think it's very painful for her.
It's all in that face journey.
There's a really cool like movement in the scene where Argo turns her head one way and Xena really quickly the cut is to her looking the other way at the other horse really fast. It's really neat.
Robert Field.
Yeah,
Beautiful. Yeah, and that is the teaser, guys. That's insane.
Well, it ends with her angry horseback riding and screaming into the camera. Just, it's so powerful.
So good.
Help.
In my notes, I wrote about that shot, maybe the most Xena thing I've ever seen.
I love that.
So the credits, there is something notable about the credits, as we've already said. Renee is not in them.
She's no longer on this show.
Yeah.
She's done.
Yep.
It's not also starring her.
I like that they did it. I don't have a problem with it. I think that like probably it was fairly clear to everyone that she's going to be in
on
it.
the show.
So
People compared it to Michael Hurst on Hercules,
who
is
died a lot,
about to be killed. I think he's killed off in part 1 of the Hercules season premiere, and then is still in the credits for part 2. But I think that's a different situation, precisely because of the timing. The fact that the show is back, it's kind of has this new identity. You know, this is like no episode of Xena we've ever quite seen before. So you can leave Renee out of the credits, and you go, oh my god, what show is this? I'm upset. I'm concerned.
They didn't take Scully out of the credits, right, when she was abducted?
no.
Okay.
That was for one episode.
I don't know. I don't remember.
See, that's different. I feel like coming back from a season premiere, you can get away with this stuff because the show's been away. It can come back different.
Yeah. Once we pick up after the credits, there is just an insane barrage of gorgeous imagery. TJ art, as my notes say.
TJ Art.
I love this. I don't know. I'm just going to be shrieking. I love this so
That's
much.
fine.
It's a visualization of Xena's journey to her destination.
Yeah,
let's
we'll
just
talk
say.
about
She
the
goes
destination.
through some
Clouds.
She goes through the clouds. She goes through some snow.
Snow and then desert. And then this kind of barren, like flatland, right? And then you get to a more
Like a forest.
Yeah,
river
definitely.
and forest.
And she's very tired.
She's wearing a big pimpin' fur coat. Is this the same
It
coat
looks like from the
Chin?
Dead. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is her traveling coat.
Yeah, which she bought, remember? With
Yeah.
Gabrielle, a good deal. It's now meaningful.
Oh. She's still wet. It's raining through this stuff.
I can't remember I don't think it's now, but like later they're gonna have a shot of her kind of using the rain. You know, like she's aware that it's raining, kind of.
I mean, it would be hard to not be aware.
So she's stalking a deer and she shoots the deer with a bow and arrow and like picks up the deer, dances a little bit, you know, next to the deer and picks it up over her shoulders. Badass.
Oh my god,
move.
so good. Like Errol Flynn and Robin Hood.
Is it a deer? It's an elk? Did you say?
Is it meant to be a reindeer? Is that?
I don't think so, because
she's
reindeer
not-
have like.
Is she
a
in
different-
Siberia yet? No, not really.
Almost.
Yeah.
I think it's a deer. It's like a big one.
Just a very,
Is it
very
a
big deer.
steer? That's like the
Man deer.
hunky male version of a deer. For sure, because of the antlers. This is where we first hear I would say now you can literally say a legit patented soft voice.
Oh my god, it's true. She has weaponized the soft voice.
yeah.
I'm now creeped out by soft voice.
So good.
I will never hear soft voice the same way.
Yeah, so you hear Gabrielle calling out to her, you know, and later Xena goes, "Is it you, Gabrielle, or is it the wind?" You know, like that's how
Strange.
Yeah, strange.
It is weird.
Yeah.
It reminded me a little bit of David Lynch. It had this kind of just, to the point.
Odd tone.
Yeah, just.
It's unclear if she's hearing it she says on the wind later, but is it just in her head
Right,
completely? You know what I
exactly.
mean? Like, are we supposed to be hearing it as if that is a noise that she hears, or like is she imagining it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that strange quality that it has really
I think it's
adds
only
to
for
that.
her
Yeah.
because none of the other girls ever react to her.
No, what is
hearing
that?
anything.
Also, that'd be weird. What's her voice?
Isn't we just saying Xena in a weird voice?
Yeah. But the fact that she's only beginning to hear this voice now as she approaches her destination must give her some hope that she's going in the right direction.
Hope.
Oh,
The worst word.
Right, I'm sorry.
Don't use that word
We've
right now.
ruined that word.
She says, Gabrielle, I'm entering a world of darkness I promised I'd never return to, but it's the only way I can see you again.
And she has started to do a bit of, what would you call it, like ritualized dancing?
Yeah. She started once she killed the deer.
Something we've never seen her do before.
No. Which honestly did not strike me as weird, though I feel like reading comments on the episode, there were a lot that were like, who is this character? What is this? What's happening? And it just did not register with me at all that it was in any way strange or out of character for Xena, because I was like, she is beyond upset, and I can tell what she's doing. She is like trying to find Gabrielle, who is on a spiritual plane somewhere, and this is part of that.
Well, they already established Amazons are a big part of this episode, right? Xena has visited Amazons. Like, I know she's not an Amazon herself, but they do dancing. They do rituals.
This doesn't quite look like what they do.
No, but I mean, that's not like a new concept to the world of Xena Warrior Princess.
Ladies dancing.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, she definitely goes with the flow on these things.
Yeah, that is interesting that people saw the character do this and said, like, but, you know, this is one step too far. And she does have this quality of being almost like drugged out over the course of this sequence.
Well, it's maybe implied at one point that she does like take stuff,
something,
right? Because we're going to get into this as the episode goes on, but she is trying to like exhaust herself and get to a place where she can leave her body.
Yeah.
She's taking some ayahuasca,
Gabrielle.
guys.
Yeah,
so
I mean, that's, I think, in some sense, the implication. I mean, TJ's episodes always feel like
he takes some and then directs.
The ayahuasca.
There is a point where she does like collect some herbs and shit.
Yeah,
but you don't really see what she's doing with it.
Well, this is where she's very Gollum-y. She is like crawling around.
Well, that whole shot, that spinning shot.
Yeah, where she says this thing of she lost her center.
Yeah.
That's
a shot right out of Lord of the Rings with Gollum at the end of his hole. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she's like crouched and sewing, and she's very not well.
Her lines there about the world having lost its center, turning, can't hold, are from W.B. Yeats, the Yeats poem, The Second Coming, which is all about the trauma of World War I. It's an interesting language sampling for Xena.
I'm not sure of the connection of the poem like itself, but when you take those lines, it's certainly beautiful in the sense that it is really telling you how much she has lost like her sense of balance and her connection. You know, this whole thing is going to be this kind of light versus dark side of the Force battle.
And also, you know, her returning to a life that she had kind of stepped away from, and that life was a violent life. So I do think there's something to it, visiting a trauma from the past,
or and like the continuous like ramifications of war and trauma.
Being a violent person.
I love that these lines are over that kind of crazy spinny camera into the cave, right?
Which was a new it was like a new camera technology thing that they could afford.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, good for them.
Yeah, because this episode is money. Didn't we mention it?
And it looks like nothing we've ever seen from the show.
It's
for
cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that. I love that you have these lines about turning and turning, and the camera itself is turning and turning.
I mean, it works. It really works.
And that's cool.
We gotta say it. I usually hate voiceover. I just don't think many actors can deliver it well. I love Lucy's read here. I love this strange sense of her. You're not sure if she's talking to us or talking to herself or talking to Gabrielle, but I think
she's talking to Gabrielle, but at the same time, I think it's not just voiceover. I think she, at some point, literally says these lines. I mean, not to...
In her little cave.
Yeah, in her cave. We just don't see her
But it's cut
them.
together in this way that it really plays like voiceover, which, of course, we've never heard on Xena, really, except, like, you know, in a flashback to Chin. So I liked it. I thought it was a new stylistic thing that actually really worked.
Well, let's talk about the flashback that now happens.
Wait, she's making her hat.
Okay.
She is making her
Before we talk about Barayas, we can talk about her hat.
That there's all these close-ups over the like skeleton of that
and the organs.
elk or deer.
Yeah.
And
you see its meat.
You know, we're gonna get to this stuff, but
she's making her
making
costume.
an outfit.
Yeah,
that's happening.
She has many skills, guys, remember?
Yeah.
I know.
Embroidery,
Yes.
I think, was one of the first that was mentioned. I think the first. So I love that, yeah, we see her doing her various home ec.
So Xena enters into her memory land.
Wait. I'm
What
sorry.
now?
I just need to comment on
I
everything.
just want to
I
talk about
know,
Mariah
I
so
know
badly.
you do, but
Poor
I want to
Vera.
talk about Gabrielle only.
Fight, fight,
The-
fight, fight.
Face she makes when we already mentioned how she says, like, is it you or is it just the wind?
Yeah.
And it's in that voiceover, so you don't hear her speaking it, but what you see is Xena, like, smiling in this way that is almost got a, like, unhinged tinge
Yeah.
to it. I think it's great.
She's also very, like, sweaty and dirty.
Very
in her
Gollum-y,
yeah. Like, I mean, we have never seen her quite like this in present day.
Right.
Like, this is feeling a bit Warlord Xena.
Yeah. Or Lucy playing the Lady Honey Badger skit on YouTube.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Can I talk about Mariah now, please?
Yeah, go.
Okay. So we enter a flashback and we are seeing a bearskin. There's some dirty stuff happening underneath
There's
it.
some rutting, what do you say?
Yeah.
Underneath that bearskin.
So out pops Xena and Barias once they're done. Let me just say, this scene blew my mind when I was small. I was like, oh my God. Suddenly Xena is rated R.
Whoa.
It was amazing, guys.
Can I read a quote from the What to Watch for this
Yes.
week from Entertainment Weekly?
Please do.
This is how Entertainment Weekly describes the episode. Talk about having it both ways. During a trek to the land of the dead in search of Gabrielle, Xena engages in both a chest-heaving reverie of her beloved charge, parentheses, hey, she's gay, and a steamy tryst with the hunky Barias, parentheses, no, she's not.
Wow.
Okay.
Entertainment Weekly.
I have a few comments about this paragraph. Number one, this is Entertainment Weekly. Again, I'll go back to like my dumbness as a person when I was like not watching this show and how I just thought that like Xena Gabrielle as a ship was something that fandom did and had nothing to do with anything. It was just like something that became a fanon
Fanon
situation.
as opposed
Obviously,
to
I'm
canon.
very, very wrong. But here we are, 1998, and it's Entertainment Weekly talking about, you know, chest-heaving reveries and saying that she's gay. And
But
then
calling her charge, which
Well,
I was like,
you know,
isn't a
protege.
Bruce Wayne and Robin situation.
protege or some
Weekly.
such might have been better.
But didn't they fuck too?
I mean,
Bruce Wayne and Robin?
you better believe it in the fanfic.
And then in any case, I also would like to just be thankful that the way we discuss things has changed in the 20 years since, because the fact that she also is shown having sex with Barias immediately negates the previous is very, very silly.
Oh, very stupid.
And, you know, boo to that.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's amazing that in the 90s, like, people would write about the show as being a show about a gay woman, but then also not really understanding that there are ways to be other than gay and straight.
Mm-hmm. Bisexuality eraser. Boo.
Boo.
Boo to that.
I mean, it's still dealing with that every
Boo
day.
every day.
absolutely.
Every day today, nowadays. But at least it's smudgy better than this paragraph, which was like, I was very surprised by it. In any case, the sexy times on screen right now is pretty rad.
It's so great. Oh my goodness.
Their like open mouth kissing is just always so extra.
Oh yeah. It is the most extra. At least they weren't doing this on a horse this time.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, there's just under a bear,
Yeah.
which I guess is better.
Now, is it a tent or is it a yurt?
It's, I think, a yurt.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I mean, look at all those skins everywhere.
Yeah. So it's looking a little homey there, and certainly Barias is feeling that way too, because he proceeds to tell Xena that maybe his feelings for her can be summed up with a 3-letter sentence.
3-letter sentence. What are you talking about,
I
girl?
love you.
A 3-word sentence.
3-word sentence.
There we go. I was like, what's a 3-letter word for love? I dig you, Xena.
Yeah, it's such a good exchange. What if I told you I'm in love? I'd cut out your sweetheart's throat.
It's so sweet.
Xena not having.
Honestly, kind of
perfect.
cute. Like, I was giggling and shipping it
Yeah.
hard here.
They're great.
And of course, you have to remember that they've just had Lao Ma kind of reconnect them. This is
Right,
maybe
her-
like a honeymoon phase after that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's getting kind of mushy.
He sure is, and Xena's really uncomfortable with that mush.
She does not think she deserves his love, is at least my takeaway. The fact that she immediately assumes he means someone else. That was sad to me.
I just
felt
think that,
sad
but
for her.
I think that she hasn't been in a place where she could be like monogamous with anyone.
No.
Like her, like
Caesar
that's not her
obviously
life.
really changed like her emotional landscape.
But even that relationship, she never was like, we'll be, a married couple. Like she was gonna be his mistress,
That's
and
true.
they were gonna
She was
take
gonna
over
help
the
him
world.
take over the world,
Yeah, but
yeah.
like I don't think they would be exclusive. Like this sounds like
Wow, it never occurred to me that they wouldn't be exclusive. Wow, is that what we should assume is going on in When Fates Collide?
Yeah.
Oh man,
Xena wants to go after the Amazons as their, couple thing that they can do together.
but Boreas would rather make an alliance with them against their natural enemy, the
Their
Centaurs.
traditional enemy, the Centaurs.
So this is fun because you're seeing these two different ways these characters like to do their business. Like once again, Boreas likes to deal with people. He makes deals,
Yeah.
if you'll permit the phrase. And Xena, meanwhile, just is so antisocial. Like she wants to fight people.
Yeah.
She is not interested in actually
She's
negotiating.
interested in power. She just wants to decimate and take over.
Yeah.
So their soldiers come in and they say that they found a couple ladies lurking about, and the yurt flap opens and the subtitles say, "Otherworldly noises and voices."
Which I think could be the subtitle for this whole episode. Otherworldly voices
I
and
think
noises.
that is just the soundtrack that circulates around Alti solely, and everybody can hear it.
Yeah,
Like, it's
they're like, clearly somebody's sneaking in our camp because I'm hearing wrong.
I mean, she was expelled from the Amazons because her power was too great. Maybe that involved,
the volume of her
just an
otherworldly
annoying
noises.
noise
Yes.
emanating.
They were like, you're a public nuisance.
I like the shot of Xena looking or taking in Alti
Yes.
from behind Boreas' hair.
Yeah, you just see the sliver of her face, but you know that this is an important new character just from the way that she registers her.
Yeah.
It reminded me, this whole staging, the flap opening and Alti coming through, of our first shot of La Ma.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a really amazing connection to draw right off the bat because it's going to continue.
Alti enters, and she has brought with her apprentice, Anakin, or as we will refer to her from now on as Anakin,
Oh,
her
it's
true
so
name.
confusing to me as
Her
a
true name,
huge Star
Anakin.
Wars prequel fan. I was just like,
Oh, Jesus.
But
you
isn't
cannot be
Alti...
named Anakin.
Alti's
People
like the...
know, you want to just say that like that? The big Star Wars prequel fan,
Well-
just without any kind of disclaimer or anything? You just want to, say that?
Look, these days, you're allowed to be a fan of the prequels because Star Wars is good now.
Alti is very Sith,
Yeah, she's definitely she literally gives Xena a Palpatine seduction speech.
and she kind of sounds like Palpatine too.
She does.
Anakin is the episode's one big failure for me as a character and as an important character that I think should have been more important.
She doesn't get lines until after she's dead, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
That's
It's
a
a little
problem.
bit of an omission.
But it's also, she's this, Gabrielle-esque stand-in for Alti. She appears in kind of this odd, hypersexualized way, and she also seems pretty high
Yeah.
on something.
Alti
on
is
Alti, I guess.
stroking
High on
her,
Alti.
that altitude sickness.
Oh, shit, dude!
And her and Xena exchange very, I feel loaded looks with each
Well,
other.
yes.
And
There's some sex eyes happening.
and then
Alti's
she,
stroking her hair
Yes.
yeah,
during
and,
this whole scene.
and then Xena is affected by her death in such a humongous way, but you don't never see anything of them being friends. And you needed a little bit of that.
Yeah, you
Did you
needed
guys-
something. Especially because then, I mean, we're kind of jumping the gun a little bit,
It's
but
okay.
let's just do it.
That's part of the
Anakin's
conversation.
rejection of her about how she poisoned her soul.
Right.
Right.
She's like, what did she do?
I mean, we know, Warlord Xena gets up to some shit. I have no doubt that she did poison this young woman's soul. But at the same time, like, what happened?
We have no
Like,
idea.
That's not something you can just throw down and be like, okay, well.
Send us the fan fictions filling in this gap.
Did you guys register that Alti brought her specifically to entice Xena?
I mean, that's how the scene is played.
It's really how it's played.
Yeah.
Yes, but like when she, like, I didn't get that. To me, that scene was, this is Alti, this is her, literally her apprentice, because her apprentice acts like a little bitch too. Like she seemed more team Alti than like, hey Xena, I'm interested in you kind of thing.
I don't know. I saw all that register in the like acting between that girl and Lucy Lawless.
Yeah, and then between Alti and Lucy Lawless, Alti's kind of looking from Xena, looking at Anakin, looking at Xena herself. They just get the sense that that this is like a proposition.
All
It's
right.
unclear who's about to have sex with who, but it's pretty clear that some sex is going to be had.
Put Barias over in the corner.
Yeah.
I do love that, Alti's like, after Chin, Xena's interested in young, like, nubile girls.
I mean,
Gotta
yeah.
bring her this blonde one.
You wonder if later she seems confused by the existence of Gabrielle. She can read people's futures and pasts and just like, who is the blonde one? But like here it almost feels like she must look into the future, see Gabrielle and be like, Xena, here's a blonde girl in brown leather. What do you think? Is this your type?
Look at these abs.
She is wearing, like, a crop top.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think very, like, they are trying to play up the similarities, just the resemblance between this character and Gabrielle. I love that both Syntrades are so full of female characters. You don't have Renee O'Connor, obviously, for these 2 episodes. So instead, they have almost like, they're like, we're going to have 20 other women.
20 other blondes.
Yeah, and I mean, I like it. Even though, you have characters like Anakin who really are hardly developed. Some of the northern Amazons whom Xena meets are also, like, slivers of characters.
Yeah.
But I think it's just cool that, like, almost everybody in this episode is a woman. And yeah, I like, even though half your female cast has disappeared out of the show for an episode, the female energy is strong.
Alti wants to help Xena and Barias against the Amazons because they kicked her out. So she has some beef.
Do you think that her reason is the right reason? Was it because her power was too great? I think she probably did some bad shit.
Well, I mean, that is the equivalent of that. When her power got too great.
That's her version of it, in which she's awesome. Whereas I assume it's like, she does not know how to
But that
play
does not
nice.
negate the fact that she's very powerful.
Yes.
Like right now, the things she can do right now are scary. Yeah. And I can see the Amazons
Well, I love that
being
Barias
like, no.
is so dismissive of her power throughout. Like, he does not take it seriously at all. Whereas Xena gets it right away. She's like, this is a powerful woman.
Well, this is another example of that amazing Xena character trait that's so consistent, where she sees a lady or a person who...
But mostly a lady.
Well, somebody who's very interesting and has an ability that she doesn't have, and she wants it. She was very curious about it immediately.
Should we talk about her power and her look?
Sure.
Well, let's talk about her look.
Let's get into Alti.
Let's get into this. Yeah, this is where she describes herself as a shamaness, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
She does, right? And she has really big horns on her hat, right?
Yeah, big horns.
And then what else is going on?
Eyeliner, as
Lots
we
of
said.
eyeliner.
Lots and
And
lots
these,
of fur.
yeah, like fringes
Fringes.
on her hat, and these shells kind of woven into them.
Which,
There's like blood underneath, on her top of her forehead.
Now, our friend Nora told us of these shells because they're called cowrie shells, and I did some Googling, and they are part of a common dress for this area that they're in, like southern Siberia, of shamans in that area, which is a cool reference. And also, are we getting into some territory?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are getting into some territory.
Yeah. So I love that, like, okay, Alti's powers are amazing, right? So they're taking these sort of very broad definitions of the idea of what a shaman is and then kind of running with it, would we say? Do we want to, like, define
Shamanism?
shamanism? I can, like,
Well,
let Wikipedia define it.
Yeah, you can let Wikipedia do your
Okay,
work
how
for
about
you.
that? A practice that involves a practitioner reaching altered states of consciousness in order to perceive and interact with the spirit world and channel these transcendental energies into this world. A shaman is someone who's regarded as having access to and influence in the world of benevolent and malevolent spirits, who typically enters into a trance state during a ritual and practices divination and healing, which when we see a bunch of that in this episode. I don't know what they're doing, like, specifically, because you can't really figure that out.
Yeah,
with
we
Xena.
can't tell precisely where Xena is, who the peoples are who she's dealing with. I mean, we know they're Amazons, but we
Right.
don't quite know, like, what culture they're based on in the same way
Right.
where we knew, Chin.
Right.
That's a place.
Right. Right. So it's all very, like, vague and undefined, which I don't know what the problematicness is of this episode in terms of, like, the looks of things and how they're using real religion that is, very unique to thousands of different places in the world. You know what I mean?
And in fact, I read an article about how, just even the way that people talk about shamanism as if it's this, like, monolithic culture.
Right, it's
as if
not.
people don't like that there is a word with an ism at the end because it implies dogma.
that it's
It
one
implies
thing.
that it's a religion, where
Yeah.
in fact it is an umbrella term for huge disparity of different world religions.
Right. So I feel
and
like
practices.
we're in an area where it's probably we're doing TV tropey religion and magic and stuff. So coin in the jar.
Yeah, we'll do
And-
another coin in the jar. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I can't help but think, like, is it better because it's so non-specific? Like, they're inspired by various cultures, probably Siberia and Mongolia, and that seems to be kind of where they're placing the action. But at
Yeah.
the same time, we're not sure. We don't know.
Oh my god, I've, like, spent so much time trying to pinpoint where they are. I feel like I've decided where they were. And it's, like, very close to the name Alti, like Altai Mountains.
Whoa!
Right?
Wait, where is
In,
that?
like, region of Russia near the borders with China, Kazakhstan, and Mongolia.
That sounds right. Based on the hats, those furry hats.
The middle of this article called it the middle of the Yukok Plateau, UKOK, the holiest place of the native people of the Altai Mountains, who are direct relatives of Native Americans. Greek historian Herodotus described it as the pastures of heaven. Interesting. And
very
being the
interesting.
Amazon land of the dead. And also looks a lot like
Yeah.
the New Zealand topography that they use.
Yes, right. Which is a plateau.
Yeah. So really cool. So yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting question. Like the ideas of, like, what is, like, here is our Western show with ladies dressing up. Is it like a costume? But, like, no, because you have to, like, go to the level of the show. And Xena is a character, I feel like, if you take her perspective and what she's doing, I feel like is using all this stuff in this respectful way. But I don't know when you, like, take it out of that context, what's going on. It's
Is
also
it bad that the
complicated.
only shaman we see is Alti, who's a bad shaman?
She's a bad shaman.
Yeah.
Like
But at
that
the same
is-
time, you do have Xena kind of equipping herself in a version of Alti's costume and in a way kind of nominating herself as a good shaman.
Yeah.
She's using these practices to save people
Right.
and to escort these lost souls, like,
Right.
into eternity.
Right.
She's doing kind of the traditional shaman role
Right.
of bringing peace and healing. I don't know if that makes it better either, because it feels
Right.
a bit like it's a hobby of hers, which is not great. Not great
Yeah.
that she can just go and do this, sacred religious
Right.
practice this one time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I think if it were more rooted in a real culture, that would at once be sort of interesting, more interesting maybe than this kind of non-specific, like, ooh, could be anything. But at the same time, I feel like that would open them up to all sorts of other problems, and definitely the cultural appropriation argument would then fit even more completely, because here are some, white New Zealand women, like, wearing these traditional outfits, whereas here you're like, what's that outfit supposed to be, I'm not quite Sure.
Right. Yeah, and there's a whole difference between like cultural exchange versus appropriation and
Right.
like participating in a culture in one way or not.
Yeah, I mean,
Anyway,
this is straight
it's
up
just
appropriation
interesting,
in that it's taking something and you're, kind of filing the serial numbers off.
Yeah, I think a lot of comments were like from the fandom at the time were very much like, why are all these Amazons dressed like Native Americans? And Xena's outfit is like full of fringe. and all
Yeah,
this
the
stuff.
leather fringe especially like reads. I mean, when I first saw this episode, that's what I assumed was the cultural reference point. I didn't realize that they were basing it on shamanism from Siberia, which I
Yeah.
mean is fascinating.
Yeah.
And in a way, I do sort of wish that were just kind of lampshaded in the episodes so that you would know what it was you were supposed to even find problematic.
Right. Anyway, it's interesting. I think it's all very interesting.
I think it's very interesting, and it definitely doesn't take away from the episode at all. And, I love this idea that Xena is dressing up in Alti's clothes just like she dressed, Lao Ma dressed her up in her clothes.
Mm-hmm.
You have this sense of exchange, of Xena going out and kind of absorbing other cultures and using them. And that's sort of who she is as a character. Even when she's not being an imperialist asshole anymore, she still does that. That's part of how she's a hero in the ancient world.
Yeah. That's how I feel about this, that it's a little bit more like that than what we'll get to like a little later in the season, which is presented in a different way. Yes.
It is interesting that she has to create the outfit to have the powers. She can't just do the ritual dancing, the killing of the sacred deer and
the
transitioning.
animals have like certain powers and such, like, so like having the antlers as part of it is kind of like part of
She's taking
and
what
the
you
vest.
need.
She's taking the deer's power. Alti often says, "I'm taking her power."
Right.
That's what she does when she kills someone.
So originally we started talking about Alti's look.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh yeah, back to Alti's look.
And I like how Claire Stansfield based her character here on Miranda Richardson in Merlin.
Oh my god, I know you love Merlin.
NBC's Merlin from 1998.
It must have just aired.
Yeah, so the eyeliner and the voice really come from that. I mean, the voice is like more gravelly and whatnot. It's not a Gollum voice, but it is.
It's a bit kind of nasally, phlegm.
Alti ultimately is, the main villain for the back half of the show. So we had Callisto, season 1 through 3, Alti 4 through 6.
It is no coincidence that Callisto died one episode ago, and now we have a new female villain coming in.
And I remember being really scared by Alti. And I think I never really had an appreciation for her because she seemed like, I don't know, her voice was very like smoker voice.
Yes.
And she was so scary in her outfit and
She
everything.
kind of has
like
smoker face. She looks ageless, but at the same time, like she's 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
She looks like she's made out of leather.
Very different to Callisto's look.
Which I think was a good way to go. I mean, there's a part of me that says, I wish she had some kind of like dark backstory so that she'd feel more like
that's the thing.
A human.
That's the missing piece that I wish that they had gone like further with her because she doesn't.
Why did she get into the black arts?
She just presented herself as this like really fascinating character that you want to know everything about. You want to have as much backstory for her as you do with Callisto. On the other hand, like watching it again with you guys, I appreciated her so much more. Like I just
she's cool.
She's great.
And I think there's something interesting about a character who just like made all those bad choices that Xena thought better of eventually. Like she traded her human weakness for this all-powerful strength, and that's who she is now. And you can't really expect her to go down the path of Callisto with kind of getting so human that she actually lost her power to be a threat in many ways.
All right, so Alti has a very interesting power off the bat. She can see the future and knows that Xena has a secret that she's been keeping from Boreas.
She pregnant.
She got that bun in the oven.
Yeah, Entertainment Weekly also continued in that thing by going, more duplicitous fun comes with the news that the princess is preggers.
Oh, that's very misleading on the part of Entertainment Weekly.
They really can't tell the difference between a flashback and current Xena.
Well, I mean, to be fair, this episode is, like, if you don't know your Xena, you're going to be so confused. There are so many different timelines operating at once. You have the spirit world and the real world. You have the spirit world in the past
I know,
and the real world in the past.
It is really confusing.
Wow.
There's a lot of layers here.
Her powers are super cool.
Oh, I
They're
love them.
amazing.
They're just so
They're
so cool.
so good and clever. And yeah, we'll talk about them as they manifest here.
Xena has now created the same outfit as Alti. Her sewing skills are great, and she's in her golem cave.
She rubs the deer blood on her face, just like Alti presumably had the blood.
Right.
I just love all the dissolves ever in this episode. Just, they do so much work to evoke the mood, like either it's Xena's mental state or, you know, it's time passing and traveling, and I don't know, there's just something like woozy about it. Something, I don't know what the right word is.
Yeah, I like woozy.
It's such a good part of
It
the
all
style where,
blends
and it could be
together.
cheesy.
Yeah.
It could be cheesy, but it works. All the stock footage that they use, it's all beautiful. All of it's great.
You feel like for Xena, like, time has kind of lost its meaning.
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly right.
Like-
Also, woozy is such a great word to use because that is TJ's camera.
Oh,
in this
always,
episode, because it's
right.
always moving.
Yeah, we've called him, you know, Fever Dream guy
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Here's like a 2-episode Fever
Right.
Dream for him. Clearly they conceived of this episode for him, right? I feel like this was probably long in the coming, his return to the show. This was no accident that he got this particular 2-parter to direct. This is our first look at the whole outfit that Xena has made. We see her riding on her poor horse.
Poor unfortunate horse.
Poor unfortunate horse. And yeah, you get my favorite shot, which is that wide shot of her standing on a mountain with her back to us, like raising her hands as if like praising the sky. And it's just like such an image. It is.
on that cliff.
It's almost funny. It might, I mean, parts of this episode are kind of like that, where you see this stuff and you're like, I feel like I should laugh, but at the same time, this is so much about her grieving
I
Gabrielle.
do always laugh at that part earlier where she claps and goes, Gabrielle.
Gabrielle. Right, yeah.
It's a bit funny.
I mean, that's part of the joy of it, is that it's not afraid to be a little silly
But
while
this part,
doing this.
in particular, is not. I do her face in profile, just kind of looking out at the horizon.
Oh, yeah,
with
beautiful.
that like longing, mournful.
Yeah, and this sort of
look.
pink light. Yeah.
I do like when she is traveling on the horse, and again, there's a dissolve of her incredible blue eyes, like super, super close up over a lot of this stuff too. But she's, you know, that's where she reaches her hands out and like touches the rain, because it is raining, like literally. But also, like at this point, you know, you hear the Gabrielle voice again being like, please find me, you know, like it's just calling out to her.
Yeah,
Is
that's a
this-
close up of her eyes on the Please Find
Yeah.
Me. Oh, it's like devastating. It's so good.
Oh.
Fuck. Sorry.
No, it's all good. That's all good. Is this also the montage where you have those shots of Xena kind of spinning on the horse, a la The Dead?
Yeah, well, I think
It might have
so.
happened earlier.
Yeah,
We may have
but
skated
I remember
over those.
that, yeah.
But yeah, totally giving me Dead vibes. These shots, you know, as if she's staring into the eyes of someone while riding on a horse, but there's
Yeah.
nobody there. So I
Whoa.
found that very, very moving and intense. And I think that's part of why, like, these dissolves work so well, is it's just Xena. You know, it's just... Every shot is Xena in some kind of emotional state, and this is just like porn for me. It's just like,
I mean,
like
yeah.
all the Lucy eyeballs in the world, and you know, there's no plot per se. It's just like a vibe.
Right. So she arrives at a forest and comes upon a dead Amazon woman, literally like impaled on a spiky tree branch, like in the middle of this tree.
Yeah.
It's just an upsetting way
Image.
to have a body. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
did
then
not
important for later.
like. Very important for later.
So there's a bunch of goons, I guess, who
I
killed this
called them the
Amazon?
Mad Maxes.
Oh,
They
because we're
seem-
getting into the whole Thunderdome.
Yeah,
thing.
there's definitely
Yeah.
some Thunderdome in their costuming here in northern Amazon
Mm-hmm.
territory.
She takes down this woman from the branch and fights off these goons and takes her to a field. while this is happening, we are also introduced to two other Amazons who are alive, and they are kind of watching this whole thing, being like, "What is she doing?" Like,
Ooh, they're alive.
they are. They're not dead.
They're watching.
Yeah, they're
but
watching,
they're alive,
but they're
which is a
alive.
good distinction because sometimes you never know where
Yeah.
we are.
In this episode,
it's very
oh, man.
confusing.
And of course, they are serving a very important narrative role, these two Amazons, because they finally are here to tell you what Xena's doing.
Yeah.
So thank you, girls.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So she carries the Amazon woman from the tree's body and lights a funeral pyre for her.
Yes.
And this is my favorite part of the episode.
Oh, I love the quality
Yeah.
of the film here. The color correction, it's very kind of orangey.
The orange,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just, it looks like nothing else in the show. And, she looks so beautiful. When
She looks
when
so
she
beautiful.
spins around and you get that, like, close-up of her, and her face is just perfect.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so perfect.
I know you described the Amazons as serving a important narrative function for finally telling us what's going on, but at the same time, I hate every time they come back to them because I called them the Amazon Peanut Gallery. 'Cause I'm like,
that
please
is,
don't
what are
leave
they
Xena
doing?
right
What's
now.
she doing?
I am in Xena's area right now.
Yeah,
Please
I mean,
stop
personally,
it.
I'm grateful because it
Yeah.
helped me to understand what's
Exactly.
going on.
No,
But now
it's
that I
true.
do understand what's going on, I want them out.
Yeah.
You know? I'm like, thanks, girls, but
now I
like,
don't need
no,
them.
this is private time.
So, Katie, talk about this
Right.
funeral pyre situation.
Okay, so I love everything about what's going on here because you have this kind of tour de force moment from Lucy doing the wailing and chanting part of this ritual, right? And she's burning this Amazon. It's kind of a pseudo funeral
Yeah.
for Gabrielle in a way, where she is. You're finally seeing Xena. You've seen rage. You've seen her be upset, but you're seeing this just like uncontrolled kind of release of grief, and it's kind of uncomfortable sometimes because I feel like in the way Lucy Lawless gets out these like whale screams, they're so good. Every time I say whale, I think of like whales, and then I laugh. Wailing. So you get this montage during the scene, which is of mostly clips of season 1 and 2 of Gabrielle. There's 2 sets of them, and the first one is like of her
Sins of the past.
hopping on, sins of the past, sins
Sins of the past.
Gabrielle hopping up on Xena's horse for the first time, then doing the twirl
With the staff.
early staff practice, and then a shot of her from The Greater Good where she's dressed as Xena because, Xena's sick and she needs to pretend to be Xena, and the strap breaks on Xena's outfit. And the cut from the dorky image of this tiny child Gabrielle trying to be Xena to Xena, who has now lost Gabrielle, and then she just screams like you never heard before. It is just my favorite moment of the episode because there's this adorable quality to her flashing back to these very innocent clips, and then you get this just moment of horrible sadness.
Yeah. You had to point that out to me because when I watch it, I ignore all the stuff.
The clips.
And especially like the funny ones because I'm just so focused on her actual like just pain in that moment. Like the gay wailing is just too much for me that I
45
cannot,
minutes of gay wailing.
notice anything. And Katie's like, you have to see this. What makes her extra cry right now is remembering when Gabrielle was a dork.
I mean, I love it because it runs the full emotional gamut of the characters. Gabrielle was a comic relief character at the beginning of her journey. And like thinking about that now is really sad because of like all the things that kind of strip that away from her. So I do a little bit of the whale, like thinking back to that little person in Greater Good.
So we have Gabrielle, you hear her saying, you've got to take me with you, teach me everything you know. You have Xena doing her voiceover as well, which is the stuff from One Against an Army, where she says, even in death, Gabrielle, I'll never leave you.
Yeah, and then they do Splish Splash.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they do They do. Well, in the middle of all this, Xena falls to her knees as if we needed like some more intensity. And then, so they have the kiss from the greater good when Xena's dead, which Xena can't remember. That's whatever. And then, you know, you hear her saying, "You're the best thing that ever happened to me. You gave my life meaning and joy." And you do have that over the, what Vera has called the splish splash, where they're...
That's meaning, Vera. That's
tub.
joy.
And, like, you know, Xena, you know, never really had that. And it's just sad, because now it's gone, Vera. It's gone. Stop
all
making fun of the
gone.
splish splash.
No more day in the life. She's dead.
You will be a part of me forever, she says, and it ends on this kind of very mournful and beautiful shot of their silhouettes walking across the mountain together, which is, I feel like, a very iconic image of Xena
it
and Gabrielle.
is.
You kind of feel like when you think of them, that's how you think of them forever, like always walking on a mountain together.
Which makes all those shots of Xena alone in this episode walking on a mountain so powerful and devastating.
Exactly, because she's alone. And then you get, again, close-ups of Lucy with her, like, these just tears just on her face and bringing her hands up to her face and screaming, and it's just, you guys.
She's very upset
It's
here.
too much. It's just too much. It's so
Katie,
great.
is this your favorite part of the episode?
Fuck, yeah.
Is this your
amazing.
favorite thing that ever happened in Xena?
Maybe.
Lucy does such great like sorrow wails.
Yes.
It's just it's incredible, yeah. And, like painful screams. It's so good.
But yeah, I mean, it's just like, I was, you know, being a little bit silly about that Entertainment Weekly thing, but like, this is what makes this show the most romantic story I've ever watched on TV. This is it. This is this continuous business throughout the whole show. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, this is a 2-episode story about Xena descending to the underworld to find her love.
Yes.
It, of course, kind of pivots and becomes about something else, but in the end, that is the emotional power of this 2-episode arc.
Oh, boy. Oh, my goodness. It's so good. Anyway, meanwhile, the Amazons, they
the
caught
peanut
goon.
gallery.
Yeah, what's happening in the peanut gallery?
So the peanut gallery is watching this, and Terry remembers this wailing. It seemed very familiar to her.
I mean, to be fair, if I, as a child, heard that sound, it would stick with me all my life.
I'm pretty sure we, as the audience, do not see her make those noises in the flashback.
But presumably over Anakin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like Obi-Wan.
I have the higher ground.
So what exactly happens? We go into the flashback, and Boreas' army has been sweeping through the villages leading up to the Amazon territory. This is like the last village on the map.
And this is when she uses the word steppes, I think.
Yeah.
Which is how you know they're on the Eurasian steppes.
Right.
They're from, they came from the east.
From the east. So, yeah, they're heading back. No, wait. Yeah, they're heading back from Chin. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And we have destruction, very similar imagery to, let's say, Callisto's village being destroyed. When it was destroyed at night, that is.
Yeah.
That time. Retcon. Otari had questionable taste in hats as a child.
I think she did not. I think her current taste in hats may be questionable.
Less
That
okay.
is a cool
You'd wear
Russian
that.
hat.
It is very, so I guess this is like the Kazakhstan
Yeah, exactly.
town.
She's
That's-
wearing the hippest hat.
Yeah.
It looks like Anakin's dead, guys. Because
no.
Xena is very upset,
And-
like carrying
yeah.
her
What
around.
the fuck happened to this girl?
We don't know.
She got killed in this
Who
fight.
killed her?
Somebody
in the village.
Yeah, what a bummer.
Was she a warrior, or was she like doing some sexy gyrating?
I think
as
she
she
came
does?
up to the person and stuck her boobs out in her crop top and was like,
That's all
hey, because that's what she does. That's all we know.
Her.
That's all we know.
Yeah.
This is such a bummer because, like, she made Xena do that wailing noise,
Yeah.
which implies a lot more of a relationship.
Yeah. I mean, Xena is pretty distraught about this.
Yeah, I mean, as we've gone to the trouble of establishing, like, through Xena's relationship with Pariah, she is not very, like, emotionally available.
No.
So the fact that she has been brought to this amount of vulnerability after
Mariah's.
less than a moon.
Exactly
Yeah.
what I was going to say. Well, at least he calls out that it hasn't been very long.
Yeah, he's so dismissive.
Dang, what?
She falls
happened
for them
here?
Hard
She
fast.
does.
It's kind
She
of...
does. So consistent.
It is consistent.
Did it happen with Gabrielle that fast?
No.
Yeah, that one.
But it's like, oh,
because
here-
that's like, you know, she's the last
She wanted
one.
to take it slow
Yeah,
this time.
because she had so many
Yeah.
problems with her previous
Yeah.
girlfriends.
Here. So we're always in 10, 11 years ago
Yeah.
time. I never really have a problem with any of this stuff, but do you think that Zita's backstory is too crowded? Because it's going to get even more crowded.
No.
Me neither.
I mean, I think if anybody in human history could do the amount of things in a year that Xena does in the year, it would be Xena.
and I like
She
that,
goes to Chin and comes back all in the space of a year.
Yeah, and I do like where some things that you can say, oh, well, the show did this already, or like we've seen this before. I actually find them interesting in character patterns, like
Yeah.
of behavior.
Yeah.
That's exactly
And it makes
it.
her consistent, even if it's stuff you don't like. It's still consistent with
Yeah.
the character.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I like just the way this carries on from the dead, you know? The way that Marias is beginning to change as a character. Xena herself is kind of almost like swinging in the opposite direction. You know, Lao Ma...
Towards women.
Oh, that. But also, you know, Lao Ma was almost awakening her, not just
She
to women,
did.
but to the
To
possibility
that.
of a different sort of life. And I feel like
Right.
because she rejected it, she's just swinging hard
To
the other way.
side.
Yeah.
I love that she has this dark side female influence as well as the many attempts by many more people to bring her to the good.
Alti is a necessary figure in
Yeah, it's
Xena's journey. And like, yeah, I think it's awesome that it's a woman. It's not like another Caesar-esque type.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
You know.
isn't Ares technically her like evil angel that's constantly trying to get her to go to the dark side?
Right. You're right. We already have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
he
we did
also
not
has the
need-
eyeliner.
That's true, but he has no influence.
He has no
Yeah.
influence.
Like, I
yes.
mean, that's saying
He did, though, at this
now,
stage
currently,
of life.
currently, like
The Xena
yeah,
who's
the
open
Xena that
to
we know.
Alti would
Yeah.
probably be cool with Ares and
Yeah.
his shit.
It's true. It's true.
I just think it's just so cool and again consistent with her as a character that she's so into Alti because she has a power that she wants in this stage of her life. You know,
Yeah.
she's collecting anything that she can use to expand it herself.
Yeah. And that includes Anakin here. So
Yeah.
she has a really melodramatic reaction.
Really intense, man. All right, so Anakin's dead, and she's upset about it. She spots baby Oteri kind of like hanging out
Hiding
in her hat
ish.
and wants to kill her.
Yeah, just pulls her sword immediately
Like,
without
what?
thinking. I think it's because Otari is from this village. Somebody in this village killed Anakin, and she's just like, gut reaction. But it's true that considering, you know, this is Xena, who we've always been told, did, even as a warlord at the height of her powers, did not kill women and children. The fact that she just pulls a sword on a child
Well,
is pretty shocking.
Because Alti is that strong of an influence on her.
And also, she's just come out of Qin, where she, like, you know, abused Ming Tian. That
Also,
wasn't cool.
she hasn't reached her no women and children policy yet. I'm
I
pretty
think
sure.
first she has to do a bunch of
She has to
violence
to
towards children, and
yeah.
then that changes.
Then she has her kid.
She has
and
her
she's
kid.
like, never mind.
Yeah, I mean that's
Also, I like
exactly-
women now, so never mind too.
Her face in this scene, though, tear streaked gorgeousness.
She's too ridiculous looking in this.
Unbelievable.
Is this the same costuming as the debt?
Similar,
yeah, well, the hat.
The hat is
for
certainly
sure.
very similar.
Yeah.
So Alti tells Xena that she could see Anakin again. There is a way.
By watching Star Wars Episode 2.
No.
Sorry, it's just automatic. It just comes out.
Boreas actually comes in and swoops the girl up and saves the day because he's like, "What are you doing? It's just a child." Kind of.
He's also getting really antsy because of how close they are to Amazon territory.
Right.
This is like the last village before it, and he's like worried that they're gonna think that they're gonna come after them when he wants to have his truce and his
Boreas?
alliance.
I mean, he seems like both a good guy and a bad guy here, because on the one hand, yeah, he's kind of the voice of reason, being like, why are you so caught up with this, like, obviously evil woman?
It's like saying something when Boreas is the voice of reason.
No, it is. Yeah. So, he's kind of counseling Xena to, like, cool it and, like, deal with people. But at the same time, he's so dismissive of what Xena's going through. Like, I feel like he just doesn't have any insight into her emotions.
Wouldn't
ever.
you also be dismissive because of Anakin?
I mean, Anakin is ridiculous, but at the same time, what is Xena going through that she is so hung up on Anakin?
What is she going through, Rob and RJ? Why don't you put this in the episode?
He's not a good boyfriend. He doesn't ask what's wrong. He's just like, that's not important. That was a really bad Mariah wow. Okay, back in the present. Xena's done wailing.
Yeah, we find out exactly what Alti meant so long ago by saying that there is a way of seeing Anakin again. Remember poor old unfortunate horse?
Oh, poor unfortunate horse. Not even named.
Yeah.
Just horse.
It gets killed.
They
Sacrificed.
carefully, like, glance over the actual horse murder.
Do. But
That's
there's
okay.
a beautifully composed shot in this scene where you then see the dead horse and, like, this sword in the ground with the fire and Xena in the background.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
It was really great composition. Weirdly made me think of Sword in the Stone because it was just sword imagery sticking out. It has nothing to do with that. So she drinks the horse's blood and does more shamanizing and chanting, and she basically like chants herself into a frenzy. This is visualized by a lot of like stretchy, canted
Right, yeah, the anamorphic camera stuff.
Yeah. And she collapses.
Do you like the wavy camera stuff for the ecstatic state?
Yeah.
I do too.
I'm cool.
I mean, it works.
The sound design.
It's like cranked to 11, but
Yeah.
it's fine. It works with the then really still shot of her when she's on the floor and everything's silent. To go from one extreme to that next extreme.
I mean, there's only a certain amount of ways you can visualize this moment.
Yeah.
What, like she's having like a crazy acid trip and,
And
it's...
TJ has used almost all of them
Yes,
already.
exactly.
for
So this
various
was
other
like, let's
things.
use this. But it's absolutely stunning, the shot when she does fall and presumably dies, right? Because you have this amazing kind of push-in on her laying there on the ground. Her eyes are wide open.
Profile.
Profile. And you have, it's gorgeously lit. And you have her last 3 breaths, basically.
Horse blood on her chin.
Yes. Good detail. Yeah, so we push right in on her eye, and it kind of reminded me of, how we used to say that TJ always got a good eye light shot in there. So here's one final eye light shot for the road, and it's a really impressive one because you have, like, the fire behind her.
Yeah.
And yet her eyes are still the brightest thing on screen.
She stops breathing.
The music stops.
Yeah, everything. It's
all
just
the chanting
silence,
stops.
just pure silence. And you get this wider shot of her laying there, the funeral pyres behind her, the dead horse.
Totally quiet.
Totally quiet.
So quiet.
What happens next, Katie?
Fucking so extra. Xenomorph princess. The music just bang right at the same time. She backflips out of her body. It's so funny.
Which is exactly what we all did when we saw this.
It's just funny.
She flips it out of
There's
herself.
no other way to say that. It's funny. It's a
it's
fucking backflips
It
out
fills
of her.
me
It
with
feels
such
right.
joy. Yeah, because it was so serious a second ago, and now you're just like, yes! So she does a backflip as a spirit. She, like, backflips out of the real world and into the land of the dead and, like, lands on the ground. In this wide shot. It kind of looks like the same landscape as where we were, but subtly different.
Yeah, it's a little bit colder there.
Yeah,
There's
for sure. It's winter
snow.
in the land of the dead.
It's not just raining.
It helps to
It's
distinguish.
so cool. I can't talk enough about how amazing this location is and how they visualize this whole thing. Just because, like, specifically the wind is blowing a lot, and I don't know.
In Land of the Dead.
Yeah, and they use it in the sound effects, so it's just so cool. Especially like later when you see the Amazon spoiler.
Yeah. It's also daytime in Land of the Dead as opposed to night in the real world, so that helps.
Stark and empty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just really otherworldly. It's amazing. So she comes upon tree girl, the girl she
Did the
saved,
funeral
yeah,
for
from the
her,
tree.
her Gabrielle stand-in,
Right.
who sort of becomes a Gabrielle stand-in for this scene. She can explain things to this girl as a way of,
Yeah.
viewer stand-in, always useful.
I like this girl. She was like, "Oh, you did this cool thing, and I'm really sad you're dead now." It was really nice.
Yeah. And she's here just in this one scene. This episode is
No, she follows her.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought she's probably there when all the other Amazons are hanging out waiting to go to the next place. But I was like, whoa, another character. Just so we need another young Amazon girl to keep track of.
They're all wearing hats.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're a little hard to keep
It's
track.
hard, yeah.
But this is the time where Zeta then begins to explain her plan of finding Gabrielle.
Gonna pass through the gates of eternity. What is she gonna do when she gets there? How is she gonna get out? We don't know. She don't know. She must be a very good friend, the girl says.
And Zeta says she's the only friend.
Oh, those are such good OTP words, and
So good.
those aren't even the ones people use.
No,
they have so many.
These are like hip
Yeah.
OTP
This
words.
is better than best friend. I think they should go with this from
The
now
only
on.
friend?
You are my only friend.
Man, out of context, it sounds like a
Yeah,
bummer.
it sounds sad, but the only friend. It's all about the the. If she had said my, it would have meant something different. She's just the friend.
And this is true, like, where how Xena doesn't quite have everything thought through in the sense that, like, I don't quite know what she's going to do when she gets to the gate.
Yeah.
But we'll figure that out.
So the tree girl also asks her why she knows so much about this place, because Xena really knows a lot. And she's like, I've been here before. And let me tell you a little story. So now we have Inside the Land of the Dead, like a flashback
to the Land of the
Dead.
Yeah. It's getting a little Inception-y confusing.
She followed Anakin there
With Alti.
with Alti, and Anakin was not happy to see her.
Oh my god. So almost as unhappy to see her as Cyan is in a second.
I really love Lucy's performance in this tiny scene because Anakin is just such a bee to her. She's like, you corrupted my soul. I don't want to see her ever again.
What the fuck happened?
Yeah, it's a little weird because, like, shouldn't Alti have corrupted her soul?
Yeah. That is part of the strangeness.
This is
of
why
this.
in this top 10 episode of mine, you have a massive fail. 'Cause this person seems so important, but no, I don't know.
Just a non-entity. We were just
Yeah.
totally mysterious.
But I just really loved Lucy portraying Xena in this moment where she's just so happy to see Anakin and then she's kind of so, like, confused by her reaction, like the way she delivers her lines there, being like, what, why? You know, it's just so, I don't know, it's really good. I really love it. And then she, as soon as Anakin rejects her, I mean, she goes like full, oh my God, this bitch needs to be destroyed.
Right. That's it. It's all or nothing with
Yeah.
Zeta.
And she's like, too bad, she's dead. You can't get revenge on her
I
already.
love that line. I hate the dead.
Yeah. And Alti's like, I may have a way.
Whoa. Then suddenly Xena is slapped across the face, which is weird because no one slapped her. And it's Boreas, still in the past, but in the land of the living,
Yes.
slapping Xena, who is in a trance, next to Alti. In a yurt? They're in the yurt.
Yep,
Yeah.
they're in their year.
And he just goes around slapping them until they wake up, which seems very rude.
It may be dangerous, too.
Also, maybe dangerous because their spirits are outside their bodies.
Yeah.
But that is how you get him back.
Yeah.
That's
guess
setting
so,
up the
yeah.
rules. Like,
Yeah.
you can't really move the people.
Right.
Or, like,
No
touch.
jostling.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
jostle because it'll wake him up. So he's really, really mad about this.
I liked that he described it as the stuff you're into,
Yeah.
which definitely sounded like drugs.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was going to ask you, Olivia, because you have such a problem with Dark Willow.
I mean, that's right. Yeah, if you listen to our Buffy minisode, I had a problem with them equating dark magic with Willow to drug use.
I think this is the Patreon, like, little clip, right?
Right. Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can only listen to this if you are one of our patrons. So thank you, all 59 of you. But that was my comment. It doesn't bother me here as much, just because it's so, like, I feel like throughout this episode, it's clear that everybody's on drugs. But maybe because it's still
ostensibly a family show. They can't ever make mention of it, but I just feel like there are drugs all over the place here. Alti's on drugs, Xena's on drugs,
Well,
Anakin is 100% on drugs.
It's such a good parallel because we've already talked so much about addiction with Xena in general, and I don't have a problem with Dark Willow. I like that.
Dependence.
Dependence.
Yeah. She gets addicted to people.
Absolutely, and I think that here they go the obvious visual way. I mean, like later in a few scenes, or maybe in the next scene even, she has like dark circles under her eyes. I mean, she looks like she's literally using, you know. So I think it's really cool that this is so clearly what is happening. I mean, he walked into like a den of drug people.
That is exactly what it is. And he's, kind of scolds her because she's pregnant.
She's pregnant, yeah.
You're carrying a child within you.
Yeah, and then Alti's like, child will be fine, don't worry about it.
He'll have his father's mouth and his mother's eyes. It's pretty legit. I would say that describes little guy pretty well.
And then Xena's like, oh, how cute. Like, what are we going to name him? And Alti's like,
you're not going to name him.
I thought that was so
Who the fuck named
cool.
him? Was it his centaur dad? I guess it must have been.
I guess.
And then Brias has a great response to this. He just grabs Alti, throws her out of the yurt, and says,
and you can stop your evil predictions, you hag.
Good job, Vera. I've been waiting all episode for that line from you.
I love that he mainly throws her out of the yurt
that's all
and
he
calls
does.
her a hag.
I mean, the fun thing about Brias is he's very sort of straight down to business. If he wants to deal with you, he'll deal with you. If he doesn't, he makes that known.
So the other person that's in the yurt is this dead girl, and he's like, who's this?
I thought it was a dude.
It's a girl.
Oh.
Because that's what Xena does now.
That's what Xena's into, yeah.
And
what?
I thought it was a man, the dead body in the yurt.
It's a girl. Xena basically is like, well, you've gone soft because we've killed so many people. Like, what does it matter?
Yeah, why are you mad that I killed this person just to cross over to the land of the dead? And Brias says, I can't believe what's happened to you. And Xena's like, well, I can't believe what's happened to you. These two have grown apart.
Yeah, fast.
They're on different paths. She says he's as soft as a pig's belly, which I thought was a nice line.
This OTP.
He is. He's so into their, like, future as a little family together.
Right. Yeah.
If you use the word family, I'm going to puke.
Yep. Doesn't like our baby. Doesn't like being referred to as us.
Yep.
Yeah. And, of course, suddenly he has this little orphan girl whom he's being a proxy father to. So you can tell that this is very much what's on his mind right now.
Yeah.
He wants to be a good dad.
Yeah, he does. No?
Could he have already had some attachments to some children?
Oh,
well, you know.
Put a pin in it.
Put a pin in that. What is he making up for some past behavior, perhaps? So, okay, now here comes one of TJ Scott's specialties. We have a campfire scene.
Yes. I loved this scene so much. What's the first thing you think of?
Callisto.
And
it's shot the same way with the camera drifting back and forth. Really tight on both people.
Yes.
Xena and Alti.
Yes,
so this is bad campfire.
Yeah, exactly. So basically you have really addicted Xena sitting next to Alti, and Alti is talking about her powers. She brings up Lao Ma. I thought that was really cool.
This is, at least when I was watching it, I was like, oh yeah, Alti is clearly the dark counterpart to Lao Ma.
Yeah.
I'm glad they make the connection quite explicitly here.
She basically is like, well, Lao Ma, her powers come from the good, the light.
Denial, self-sacrifice.
Yeah. And Alti is interested in the darkest shit
Oh my
ever.
god, her speech about her life goals is so alarming.
You didn't think her eyeliner was alarming?
I mean, the eyeliner is a warning sign, but when somebody comes up to you and says, here's my, 5-year plan. I want to tap into the heart of darkness. I'll become the face of death. Capable of destroying not just a person's body, but their soul. I would go like, oh cool, I want to be your friend. No thanks.
Yeah.
But then what if they were like, I'll make you destroyer of nations?
Exactly.
Then you'd be their friend, because maybe that's what you want.
What did you guys think of Alti using the D word?
Destroyer?
Destiny.
No, yeah, destroyer. Javier was just gonna keep guessing D words.
Yeah.
But, you know, the destroyers of Hope. Hope's children are the destroyers.
Oh,
Right.
But
Well,
she
but
is
Xena
literally Destroyer of
has-
Nations. That
yeah.
is the title she actually has already
She
that we've
just
seen.
got Warrior
When did she
Princess
get it?
in Shin.
When did we hear Destroyer of Nations?
We heard it in an episode that I don't remember anymore.
I thought it first started here.
No, because we already did. Well, I mean, I could be wrong because of how we, whatever. But I thought we already made the Daenerys joke about her titles a million times.
Yeah.
So hence,
You do love that joke.
I think that is really cool because
Was it in the price or something?
maybe, yeah, because we were like, what? That's crazy.
Right, that
yeah,
guy
'cause
has
we were
the
like,
whole list of titles.
right,
for her.
and we were like, when did she do that?
Yeah.
And then here it's really cool because you're first hearing it and you're like, oh, she's offering this to her, but we already know she becomes this. So hence,
And I love that it's not. We just recorded the Hercules episodes, Armageddon Now, in which Xena's title is the Conqueror. I love that here she's not conquering anybody.
Yeah.
She's destroying.
Yeah.
It's not like she's going to rule.
No.
She's just leaving destruction in her wake.
This scene is pretty monumental. Not only do we have such amazing lines like titles given to Xena, like Destroyer of Nations, but also I really loved Claire's performance here when she's like, oh, Lao Mao's power, this from the light and stuff like that. But it's not for people like you and me. And she does this amazing like finger point for back and forth between them. It was such a good choice. I was so into it.
Poor Xena.
And that's a sad line. Yeah, Xena thinks this is all she deserves. Yeah. What Lao Ma offered her, she couldn't have. So this must be right.
Yeah, and it is a great, like, kind of dark mirror to the dialogue in the original Campfire.
Right.
About Xena turning
into a monster.
into a monster, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
So,
a really
I mean, that
great
episode
point.
was written by R.J. Stewart and directed by T.J. Scott.
Yep.
So it's like just
There you go.
the
same
same team.
shit.
Continuity
Yeah.
is good.
Also, speaking of RJ, there's the line that Alti says, the sheer naked will behind all craving and violence, as the dark power she's trying to tap into. That's some Schopenhauer again. As you may remember, RJ's into that.
All right. Also, I forgot to mention how Bryce calls Alti a pathetic bag of bones.
Yeah, there are all these references to Alti as this, like, old crone.
Actually, there's a really funny interview with Claire. It must be with the Chakram newsletter or something like that. But she was so funny about that because she was like, this is a old hag. That's how she's described.
Well, she
And she was like,
I'm 30.
I know. She doesn't look up. But I do feel like it comes across that she's older than
Yes.
Xena.
Yes,
and
it does.
even here, obviously, Xena is supposed to be way younger. She's 10 years younger than...
But do you guys think that maybe it's the dark powers that make her seem old?
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like they suck
Like
the
I
youth
said,
out
she
of
could
her.
be
Sexist?
1,000
What's
years
happening?
old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like Melisandre.
But yeah, it is interesting that he calls her like a bag of bones because she seems so powerful, but at the same time, she does have a sort of shrunken quality. Like I feel like both these
She's
things
insane.
are true.
She's like insanely tall, too,
Yeah.
like a human. Like,
But I guess she's always kind of slinking behind Xena
Yeah.
and hence seems shorter than she is.
yeah, she's so amazing.
She's
I don't know,
great.
like I love
And
her
fully
so much.
committed. I
Yeah.
feel like this is a performance where she's just at like 11 all the time. Like that is Alti.
Yeah, I mean, just to constantly do that crazy croak.
Yeah. And just like the mad eyes that are very, very mad and very, very rimmed in charcoal.
You're right that part of her physicality is that because she's a really tall woman, she's 6'1".
Oh, wow.
She hunches over all the time, and that kind of partially makes her even more kind of like a worm tongue, like a evil angel kind
Advisors,
of like
yeah.
on your shoulder, like literally.
So good. So back to the present day, but still in the land of the dead.
Yeah, Xena and Tree Girl come upon an amazing image, very
Oh my God.
statue-esque image of Cyan, the Amazon Queen.
And she is wearing red, which is really like popping against the snowy landscape.
Yeah.
And she's standing on this rock outcropping,
Yeah.
just like crossing the arms, just like very like so much attitude in this stance. It's really fun.
She literally looks like you can, do a marble statue out of this pose. And it's very important to note that a mile behind her is another line of like Amazons kind of standing there.
So like a whole army of them blocking Xena's path, seemingly. And Cyan's like, "You're not welcome, Xena."
Tree Girl is like, oh my god, she's super famous.
Yeah, she's like starstruck.
Yeah. And Xena's like, yeah.
I know her.
And she's like, oh my god, you know her? She's like, yeah, I killed her.
We get a flashback, a really quick flashback to Xena and Cyan in conversation, where Cyan's like happy-go-lucky and telling her that she'd be a great Amazon.
Can I ask you guys, what is your opinion on these?
The little flashes.
I liked it.
Do you think it's really necessary to include something that's going to be revealed in the next episode? Like, these are literally scenes from the next episode. That
I like the one, and I don't think it happens until part 2, where you see a flash of her death.
No, it happens in
happens
part
here.
1, and
Okay.
I already hated it then.
I like it.
Because why? She says, I killed her, and you see that
See it
happen
happen.
on the same tree,
maybe
like,
that
Tree
is dumb.
Girl.
I would be cool without the line. If it were just like, oh, what's your relationship to this new woman, Cyan? And you just see her killing her in a quick flash, you'd be like, shit.
No, because it would be great to be like, find out in this episode, just they have really intense animosity, and there's secrets behind them, and then the next one you find out what exactly happened. It would have been just, I don't know, I just didn't need this like flash forward.
I like that they're here. I disagree with you maybe, because I think that seeing a visceral image of this woman killed by Xena, and then also contrasted with the like happy-go-lucky, like, oh, I'm not an Amazon, just not for me. I do think that it's important that you understand that part of this issue at hand that Xena's going to confront is her fault. You need to know that now, like right now.
That's true. You're right. That's really important for the decision she's about to make. We need to understand that she's culpable for why
Yeah, fault
Cyan
is not maybe
here.
the right word, but like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I think
Yeah.
they could have set it up more. It should have been like without any kind of visual aid. It could have been a much bigger reveal. I mean, already like later, we'll have a little bit more when she's like, "Oh, Alti did this."
I mean, when you finally understand what it is Xena did, it's pretty enormous.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
these
Right.
little teases don't do it justice.
Yeah.
So, do we want to talk a little bit about Cyan? She's really cool.
I
Yeah,
like
let's talk
her a
about
lot.
Cyan.
So Cyan is played by Vicky Pratt, who, besides being an awesome actress
And a fitness model.
is
Bodybuilder.
also, yeah, and also a trained bounty hunter.
Oh my god.
Just dropping that in.
What? There's got to be a story there.
She is also our second member of the Cleopatra 2525 gang.
She was my fave in the one episode of Cleopatra 2525 that I've seen.
Spoilers, she was my fave too, and I've seen the whole show. So,
She's great. The
She's
character
really
is great.
great, and-
Unlike Anakin,
yeah.
like this lady makes sense to me. She makes the most of her screen time.
Yeah.
I just love, like I said, her toot on this rock. I was just instantly like, tell me more about this lady.
I love the whole thing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with like Melosa and
No,
you know
Melosa's
whatever.
great.
She's cool, but like when I see Cyan standing there on that rock in that outfit, I'm like, dude, this is an Amazon queen.
You know, yeah, it's true. She has that vibe. Maybe that's all the bodybuilding and the bounty hunting.
Yeah.
This is just someone who projects such kind of physical superiority.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
Also, she married T.J. Scott, which is a
That
fact
also happened.
that blew
but not,
my mind.
Not because
today.
of this episode.
No, I assume
They
we're
already-
already dating, but that's some context, some romantic context.
So Xena is confused why Cyan is still there.
Right, she's supposed to cross over into eternity.
Right.
Instead, she's just waiting here. There's like a traffic jam.
Yeah, and Cyan's like, well, why are you here?
It's not a traffic jam. They're just stuck in a parking lot. They can't go nowhere.
Oh.
So Cyan wants to know why Xena is there. Xena says she's looking for her friend, a Greek Amazon. Cyan's like, okay, cool, follow me.
Yeah, Cyan seems like she just wants to, like, get rid of her. She's like,
Right.
oh, you're here for some reason? All right, it's over there. Just get the fuck out of here. Go.
Back in the land of the living, Oteri and the Peanut Gallery are, like, slowly approaching Xena's body. And I like how she's like, is she dead? I don't know. Poke her.
I mean, I would be afraid to poke Xena while asleep.
Oteri seems to be in charge here, huh? She's
Yeah.
doing a lot of the talking.
I think so.
The other one that is there,
Who has a speaking part?
she does have a speaking part, but I feel like they don't say her name
Maybe not till
in
part 2.
Yeah, in this one.
Yeah. But anyway, her name is Yakut.
Perhaps after the territory, not far from here.
Oh, yeah.
I
And
don't know.
We haven't said that Alti, like the Alte Mountains. Did we say that?
Yeah, we
That's
did.
it.
Okay. Cool. So everybody's named after the maps of this territory.
Well, she wants to stab Xena.
I'm not entirely sure why, other than I guess she gets the sense that she's, like, dangerous.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Oteri points out, she killed their enemies, buried one of their dead. Like, this seems
Yeah.
like a person who means them no harm.
Right. So no killing of Xena just yet.
Instead, they put her on a litter and take her back to their house.
Right, back to Xena and Cyan.
Oh, good.
So they round a corner, and there are about, like, 100 Amazons just clumped
Telling
together
you,
in a frame.
the money they paid those extras, that's a lot of money.
That was a shot of fangirls refused from Hall H at Comic-Con.
Oh.
Cyan explains that they can't cross over to eternity, and they're doomed to wander the land of the dead forever. So this is where we get the really cool imagery of the wind blowing. There's, like, silence. They're just all just staring there,
And you see the
sitting.
volcanic mountain behind them.
That's the gate of eternity
Yeah,
in that
but I mean,
volcano.
it's
over
literally
there.
right there. Like, I mean, I just love that the landscape is just what it is. Maybe this is coming from someone who's just, we've seen so many, like, CGI landscapes now that the idea
Yeah.
that all of these things are actually here, this flat plain, this volcano, like, this is a place, a physical place, and here are actors in it. Like, it's just spectacular.
So Xena's really shocked about the fact that they can't cross over, and she's like, "Oh, Alti did this," and Cyan's like, "Yeah, Alti did this."
So sarcastic.
I mean, I gotta say that I was surprised that Xena was so, not passing blame, but that's how she thinks about this situation. Usually Xena's the first person to take responsibility for a bad thing and beat herself up with it. Here she's like, what?
In the Hobbit hole where these girls live, we have Xena being lowered in very gently, although it's not perfect, and Xena definitely feels the
She's getting,
jolts
yeah.
in the land of the dead.
I love that.
Yeah, it's
Little
really, it's a
detail.
cool, it's all part of the new system here.
Yeah, it's a good way of kind of allowing you, the viewer, to understand, like, how these two different locations connect.
Oteri is adamant about not killing Xena because she's certain that Xena is part of their future. I like the detail that these are a bunch of, like, young girls.
Yeah.
Like, very, almost like Lost Boys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, you feel like they have their own, like, weird little civilization and, like, just don't know how the rest of the world is. They're just in this bubble. And obviously they need a wise, older person to educate them.
Oteri shares another memory, and that is one time, a long time ago, Alti was like, "You gotta kill this child," to Xena.
Because she's going to take your power someday. Intriguing prophecy. Xena isn't really that into this. Like, she's going along with it because she is into Alti, but you could tell that Xena was reluctant, even though she had just kind of in a rage drawn her sword
Well, this
on
is-
Oteri before.
This is the scene where I think she looks the most, like, drugged out.
Yeah.
Where she has, like, the sunken eyes.
And it's very sensual, the way Alti is kind of, like, spooning Xena from behind and,
she
like,
takes her
caressing
hand.
her hand to
Yeah.
the dagger.
Yeah, and you see her pregnant belly there too.
Yeah.
It's all very, very good. I also really love her dialogue where she's like, "Control your destiny, kill her now."
Oh, the D word, the
Yeah.
other D word.
Told you it's here. And Barais busts in.
And he's pissed off because he is very attached to this little girl now.
Yeah.
Which Xena even says that he'll flip.
And Barais throws Alti out again. It's his favorite activity.
And mine.
Why does he let her be there in the first
That's
place?
a good question.
Like,
he
so
really
long.
should kick her out
Every
of their
day
camp.
he comes into the yurt and throws her out. It's like, why? So he scoops up the little girl, Terry that is, and I don't know, there's a really weird, creepy, like, shot of her face, though. She seems evil.
We haven't called it out, but the little girl playing young Oteri has a great likeness for the adult version, I thought.
I think she looks like Yakut.
Confusing. Well, I don't know. They all look the same to me. She looks like all
Terry has the
Northern-
face of Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Oh my god, she does! That is legit.
So Oteri insists that Xena wouldn't have killed her anyway because she knows.
About the prophecy, right? Something about Alti. Like,
Well, yeah, because I think because of what Alti says about Oteri stealing her power, Xena feels like, well, if that's going to happen, I can't kill this person.
Yeah.
Xena seems
Like
to really take those prophecies seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's just interesting
Yeah.
that that's what Oteri thinks.
Yeah, that's what
about
Oteri
why
thinks.
Xena didn't kill her, but
Yeah.
maybe Xena just didn't want to kill
I think
a
Xena
child
didn't want to kill
at this
a kid.
point.
Yeah. You know, in a moment of panic or grief rage, maybe, but not
Right.
just in this kind of cold-blooded way. I don't think Xena feels threatened by Alti's prophecy.
The awkwardness between Xena and Cyan continues.
Oh, God.
I could watch a whole show that's just these two sniping at each other.
Xena feels like so awkward that this happened to all these Amazons because she just wants to find Gabrielle here.
Right.
Okay. Cyan points her to the volcano because clearly that's where the entrance is. And Xena kind of decides to go off.
Gorgeous, gorgeous shot of Xena marching off to this volcano.
The sunlight
Ugh.
in this scene, like, help me.
It's so just pink and epic, soft, beautiful.
Only Cyan's tribe can't go through there because all the other Amazons.
Right, they've just been seeing those Greek bitches and those bitches from Mesopotamia be like, oh, hi guys, still can't go to eternity? That's too bad. Bye.
But Xena also can't go. Suddenly she stops.
Yep.
And she hears patented soft voice.
Gabrielle calling her name, and she stops and says, "Shall I do the whole line?"
Yes, please.
Okay. She says, "I can't, Gabrielle, I can't. You know, nothing would make me happier than seeing you again. You were my light. But I just realized what it was that you gave me, a light of my own. There's something I gotta do, something you'd want me to do. I love you." I love this line. Who else loves this line?
I love it.
Which line?
The
There's
whole
so
thing.
many.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Return of Callisto, that light that shines out of her face.
No, right. The literal light. It's coming out of that volcano.
You know,
right
so
now.
yeah, there is this actual light that now Xena feels in herself. Like, I really love that callback. And I just love the decision, which of course harkens back to One Against an Army.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even Gabrielle not being here is still guiding her to the right decision, which is to go save these bozos.
The greater good.
It's the greater good. Gotta get these bozos out of this limbo land.
And also, it harkens back to that Callisto campfire where, again, Gabrielle made Xena promise that she would not become a monster if something happened to Gabrielle, and that the cycle of violence can only be stopped with love and forgiveness.
So this is forgiveness and love, her decision to step away from eternity and Gabrielle and go save these Amazons who she has wronged.
Yeah.
The other thing that I just have to call out in this scene is the music, which is really, really beautiful.
Yes.
And unlike most of the tracks that we've heard throughout this episode, and also the second half, this isn't new music. This is music from previous seasons of Xena. I can't tell you what, but I just know it, like, I just associate it with big emotional moments in the show that we've had previously. So I feel like it's that kind of dose of familiarity kind of makes us think of Gabrielle and makes us think of everything that Xena and Gabrielle have been through. So I like that something familiar comes in on the soundtrack for this moment, which is about Gabrielle.
Isn't it?
more than anything.
Is this not the moment where the warrior princess theme is?
It kicks in right after. Literally
Okay.
at the end of Xena's speech, you hear like the actual theme tune for a second come in on the soundtrack.
But it's like reworked in a
Yeah.
new kind of
Yeah.
sadder, slower way.
Yeah.
So Xena goes back to Cyan and tells her she's gonna stop Alti and help them out. Because Cyan's like, why are you back?
Yeah. I love that Cyan remains perpetually salty. No matter what Xena does, Cyan's just like, you're still here. Now you're helping us. Okay.
She brings up this new concept of the Amazon word.
Reminds me of Sesame Street.
The word of the day is courage.
Yay!
But I thought that was really cool. We've never heard of this before in any of the Amazon episodes.
Yeah, the holy word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is so much Amazon cosmology that, like, rears its head in these episodes.
But I like it because it's a completely different tribe. They have a completely different, set of rules and customs and whatnot. So this was really cool.
Completely different clothing.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about it.
I love their clothing. Why don't we briefly mention how awesome they are? Cyan's outfit and the red color of the leather is so attractive and very specific to something that you would go into a museum and see.
Yeah, I was going to say
sure.
there's something, I mean, I'm sure it's about as authentic as any costume on Xena, aka not that authentic at all.
Seems so authentic.
It
to
feels
me.
more legit. It looks practical, unlike
Yeah.
so many of the Amazon costumes that we're used to.
Yeah, the museum thing that totally reminds me of, there was a tweet going around on the Twitter recently that actually mentioned basically where we are in this episode and had a picture of a Scythian woman's boot that had been preserved in the frozen ground of the Altai Mountains for 2,300 years. And it kind of looks like something that they would
It's
wear. And it has
red.
that red, the red of
Oh,
the...
wow.
Yeah, just
It's
really
legit.
cool.
So what you're saying is this is authentic.
I think
well.
it's very authentic looking.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of authenticity and the Scythians,
Yeah.
Katie and I read this amazing article about the origins of the Amazons.
Oh, yeah.
I
And-
didn't read it because I can't read like
can.
Xena.
On
And-
the Smithsonian.
Yeah,
.com.
on Smithsonian's magazine. What I thought was so amazing about this is at first it's like referencing Wonder Woman. You're like, yeah, we get it. Like the Amazons are this kind of mythology created by Athens. But then, oh my god, twist, they might be based on the Scythians who lived on these Eurasian steppes. Mm-hmm. The Scythians are sort of, again, like almost like a collection of different ethnicities and various cultural groups. But among them, you have the Sarmatians and the Sauramatians, which was an earlier group. They were matriarchal, and their lady warriors were buried with all their cool warrior stuff, and they had a very high status. And
They had to kill a dude before they could marry.
that's according to Herodotus. That was the part of this article that Vera liked best, which was Herodotus, who we mentioned earlier, who coined that great phrase about the fields of heaven.
And not locating the Amazonian capital as the Mascara.
Yeah. Herodotus knows what he's talking about, okay?
Yeah.
The mascara was real. But he has this great kind of origin story for the Amazons about how they were like shipwrecked after being captured in battle, and they ended up with a bunch of these dudes, the Scythians, and they like fell in love with them because of course all the Amazons are really hot ladies.
A dude wrote this.
A dude, totes, wrote this, and they all got married, and that's the origin of the Sauramatians, who then become this
Sarmatian.
nomadic people. Yeah. I'm not sure how much RJ and company would be aware of. I mean, a lot of these various archaeological finds happened in the early 90s, so they may have known that these Scythian bodies were being uncovered mostly in Russia.
So much stuff is in Russia, guys.
Yeah.
Like all the mammoths, skeletons, and all
Good
that
because
stuff.
it's cold.
Yeah,
everything's very well preserved.
there, and then the aliens visit it. It's all good.
So they've found these graves of women buried with their weapons, bow-legged from constant riding. They have like iron daggers. One had like embedded in the chest cavity an arrowhead still, which
Nice.
is pretty hardcore. and that they were tall.
5'6".
5'6".
The height of Cyan. Well, she's 5'7".
That's preternaturally tall.
But when she's standing on a rock,
Yes.
damn girlfriend looks tall.
Yeah, she's as tall as Alti then.
Yeah, but 5'6". Back then, they were Amazons,
They're
we could say.
literally taller than me now.
I love all this. I love all this, and I love the Northern Amazons. They're my faves.
I mean, it's
in
really
Xena.
cool that they are the most authentic of the Amazons.
Yeah.
You know, they're not a male fantasy. They come across as being a people.
Mm-hmm.
Into it.
I love it up here. It's crazy.
Good stuff.
So Xena wakes up grumpy as fuck. You give her props because she was moved, so that's why she's disoriented.
Moved. She has no idea who these people
Yeah.
are. We've been watching them for like a half hour, but this is her first meeting them. She's still covered in old dried horse blood, which isn't
She
fun.
touches her mouth, and then remember the horse blood is like dripping out of her, side of her chin, and she looks like she just had a really bad root canal or something. Like that's how she.
I hope it didn't
acts.
feel like that. Oh dear. Yakut has a sword on her, and Xena does this great thing where she disarms Yakut, just like knocks the sword up into the air with a big whoosh noise and catches it. And it's this great line about like, I need to teach you how to hold a sword on somebody.
Yeah.
Which I liked precisely because of that lost boy quality that you were
Oh my
saying.
gosh.
Like, she immediately knows these are some girls who need instruction.
Not only that, but literally there's like a foot height difference between her and all of those girls. It's kind of amazing. They're like clustered around her.
They are 5'6", just
Yes.
like the Amazons of yore.
She's like mother hen to them. It's amazing.
They have captured a male prisoner back
Their
in an
enemy.
earlier scene. Yes, their enemy. They give Xena the opportunity to kill him, but instead she lets him go and sends him off to Alti with a message.
Xena's coming.
Dun dun dun.
Alteri warns Xena that if she moves directly against Alti, Alti's going to send the berserker after
I feel like
them.
you said Alteri, which I liked because it was
Alteri.
kind of like if they were a ship, they would be Alteri.
Yeah.
Continue.
So she's going to send Berserker after them?
What the fuck is a berserker?
He's a warrior whom Alti has given special powers. And he's never lost a battle.
Okay, great.
So he's hardcore.
Xena's reaction to that is pretty great because it's like equal. You kind of think, well, maybe not against me. Like, she's like, let's go. We'll see about that or whatever. But at the same time, you just kind of feel like whatever stage she's in right now, she doesn't really care.
She really
Yeah.
doesn't care.
You know?
Yeah, it is
So
pretty
it's really,
great.
It's really kind of just like, well, all right, you can kill me, and I don't care.
Yeah.
The goon returns to Alti's camp, and she's like, I don't need your message. I totally know Xena's coming. I could smell her.
She is holding her head at a slant, which I feel like she's literally listening for Xena or smelling her or something. It just gave me a weird vibe.
It was good.
She knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she proceeds to kiss him.
Yeah, so weird.
Yeah.
Or bite him.
Well, the scene was cut. Apparently, what went down in the full scene is that she kisses him, then bites his lip, and then he does a backflip.
He does a backflip.
Because I'm assuming because powers.
Oh, because powers. That's how she imbues these men with her powers by biting and kissing. I mean, that makes sense for sure. I can totally see
But
that.
they just left the kissing part, which I was like, whoa, okay.
Alti is a big freak.
She is a big freak.
That's just how she encedes. It's just like, who can I make out with? You! There!
So Xena and her little group of Amazon students, they enter that desert location that I previously mentioned was used amazingly in Legend of the Seeker.
It looks very muddy. I love that you can see their footsteps behind them as they go.
Yeah, and then there's this really great crane shot here. It's
Yeah,
just
it just cranes
spectacular.
up and up and up. You really see that whole stretched out landscape and this, pretty modest-sized group of women tromping along.
Xena goes, "This one's for you, Gabrielle." Is she holding her scrolls?
Mm-hmm. What is she been using them for?
Bringing them into battle with her.
I noticed there's only one pair of scrolls left.
Shut up, don't ruin it. How dare you?
Do you think she is like reading them as a way of being close to Gabrielle?
Maybe.
Is that what?
Do you
they're
think
there
it's the
for?
scroll that she previously used as toilet
She
paper?
doesn't read them, though, you guys.
Yeah,
she can't read.
I really don't think
She
she
can
reads them.
read, but
I think it's just a totem. She just holds them.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, you guys are the worst. She literally says later, "I wish I'd read your scrolls," but you need to like watch the show some more. or
Well,
something.
luckily we will. So she just
Well,
carries
it's really
them
great that
around.
she was holding them when they went into this battle. I thought that
Yeah,
was really
no,
great.
it's a wonderful. It's the only piece of Gabrielle she has left. And remember, I feel like so much of her desperation here is that there is no body. You know, there's nothing for her
Yeah.
to bury. There's nothing
Right.
for her to
Yeah, Gabrielle just
hold.
disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So, this battle. Xena does her war cry, or a war cry, and the dude goons attack. Now, what I thought was really funny about this is when this fight starts, the ladies, they all just drop their bags. That was really weird.
They can't fight with a bag. Have
I
you
don't-
tried?
I know, but it was just really strange. I mean, I guess it's realistic, but if they just had so many bags and they just
Synchronized
dropped
bag
them.
drop. Yeah. I like this fight. I like the visuals of it. I found it just kind of... There's a lot of handheld, as TJ loves to do. It just had a kind of immediacy and a kind of dirtiness. Like, everybody was getting really muddy. You could sense the dirt.
I would disagree about this fight. I think that it seemed visually not up to par.
How dare you? Why?
Yeah, because it wasn't, there's nothing special about it. That's the thing. It was a lot of like...
But this
I think that, like, I'm like, maybe second unit did a lot of this. Just because it's like, oh, here's some shots of like this Amazon hitting this guy, and then this guy hitting this Amazon, and there's just a lot, it's static. And it's either that or they ran out of money to do this one proper, you know? It's
They definitely spent all their money on just...
on the beginning of this
Yeah. Lucy on that horse.
yeah. So to me, this could have been better. I mean, it is what it is.
It worked for me. It felt grounded. You know, I just loved seeing like everybody's fur flying.
If you give me a taste of the present, you know, in the beginning of this episode, I expect it now too. Like, you know, you did this, TJ, now follow through. But I can, you know.
I think what you're saying is there weren't enough ladders for you.
That was way more silly, yeah. But I mean, I'm talking about like the Callisto horse chase.
Right.
Like that was just insane visuals.
Well, this
insane...
isn't so much about like slowing down the action and like milking it for drama. It really is just kind of like a fight that's happening, like all over the place. It has that kind of chaotic.
Yeah, but even
just, like,
Xena
fight,
versus
fight,
these
fight.
two guys on horses.
But she like spins the swords, and you're like, oh! I love when she does the double sword action. That is always hot.
I don't know. It was just a little standard. Everything about honestly, like even just the idea that this episode ends with Xena versus this dude that we've never heard of before, this berserker. We don't know these Amazons.
You're
We don't know
about to be
anything.
given a reason for why you should care about this dude, the berserker. So here's a guy who Xena's like, oh, a guy who seems important. Let's fight him.
Yeah, he comes on a horse.
Yeah. She charges into this fight, kicks him off his horse, and kills him just like right away.
Well, she does like a jump flip move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like the bicycle, not the bicycle, whatever the one where you kick him with both feet.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's kind of annoying because we've seen her do the really amazing thing in When in Rome, where she takes down a dude on a horse in a very beautiful slow motion
pulled
way.
down a horse.
Yeah, and I
with her
wanted this
own arms.
instead of a hilarious jump.
Okay, all right, whatever. This dude isn't even the berserker.
Whatever.
So come on.
But her moves are the same to this guy and the berserker.
That's
so.
true. Yeah. So
Anyway,
I love
continue.
this reveal that she like kills this guy. He's a little disappointed, like because I think she was expecting a big fight.
Yeah.
And Oteri kind of runs up to her, going like, "The berserker," and she's like,
This guy?
"What? Really?" And then Oteri's like, "Oh my god, that's the berserker!" and points behind her, and it's this big fucking Darth Vader dude,
Yeah.
on a black horse, just like 10 miles
It
wide.
didn't seem that threatening to me.
I thought he was scary.
He just
don't
had
know.
a lot of creepy armor that he bought.
the berserker stuff
Hades.
doesn't really
Doesn't work
thrill
for you.
me.
His
Yeah.
horse with the orange death eyes.
Nah, it didn't seem like a threat. Like, she went from that one thing to being like, there's the berserker. When the there's the berserker happened, I went, okay.
Because in this episode, nothing's scarier than Alti. And that's
true.
the thing.
And that's why
thing.
the berserker works, because it turns out it's Alti.
Alti is the horse.
She's the secret ingredient. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we mentioned the horse close-ups of the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Those
are important here.
You definitely get them here, too.
His costuming, to me, looked samurai-inspired. It looked very Japanese, which is strange in these episodes that are set in Manchuria, maybe, or Siberia.
That's interesting that you could even tell an inspiration
But
out
also
of his
it looked
costume.
like the Hades stuff.
Yeah, it looked like the studded,
But it had,
you know.
the silhouette of it, to me, looked samurai.
To me, it looked like if you put on, like, a garbage pail on your head.
Samurai!
Painted black.
That's Darth Vader!
That's true. But, like, he had, like, two of them. I don't know, his sword was like a chainsaw. It was weird.
I mean, yeah, his
This
sword
guy,
was
I don't know,
strange.
he was, like, meant to look crazy intimidating because of his armor. And obviously he had Alti, in his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever he did anything, it's like his eyes kind of like
Yeah, what
dilated.
did you think of that effect? I thought that was spooky.
I thought that was really cool, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
I like that his eyes were so blue. I thought that made the effect stand out more. And also just, I don't know, it was unexpected. I just didn't expect this dude to have these, like,
but, like,
blue
underneath,
eyes.
whenever you did see the eyes, though, you saw that this was just, like, a regular dude under there.
Yeah.
That's what's...
just a man.
That was interesting. Anyway, I'm like, I don't know this guy. Like, at this point, I'm like, I know Alti. Like, give me Alti.
And I also, he's literally the only person with a penis in this episode, and I'm like, why should I care about you? There are all these ladies around. Like, they're way more interesting.
There's just not enough backstory between what's going on
What
with...
about Barias?
Oh, shit!
Oh, your favorite.
He really was, like, here in this
And his
episode.
penis is really in this episode.
Well, he's dead. So the Berserker rides up, and we know he means business because he cuts Xena's arm right away.
And they're very non-cinematic. Like, honestly, Callisto did it better. She did it first.
I mean, of course, Callisto did it first. We should make t-shirts that say that.
Oh my God. Yeah, aside from the Anakin fail, this is my second least favorite thing in the episode. Just the fight here.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm amazed.
I kind of zone out
like
until Alti
it.
shows
Zone
up.
out.
Yeah. But what about the part where she looks into his eyes and relives her past?
Well, that
that's
is when
Alti.
Alti shows up.
I mean, yeah, that is
Now
Alti.
we're getting down to
Yeah.
it. Let's talk
all
about
right.
that and
Let's
not
do
the
it.
stupid man on
Yeah,
the horse.
exactly. So we see what it means that Alti has given him some juice, right? And it is a cool new power. He is able to summon your past. You're literally like the sins of your past.
And use them as a weapon.
Yeah.
I love this for a million reasons, not just because it's a really cool idea, but also I think it's a really interesting companion to Callisto as a villain.
Yeah.
Who did this without it being a magical power.
Right.
She'd be like, hey, look at me. I am a sin of your past. Like, beholding me makes you hurt. That's what Alti can do.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah.
it's interesting that in a way she's kind of doing that same thing for Xena, reminding her of all her past shit, but like in this much more magical way.
Yeah. So the guy hits her with the gauntlet. He hits her
Now I'm imagining him literally hitting her with a gauntlet.
with Callisto.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then finally with Caesar.
With the break her legs.
Break her legs.
And she just topples.
Yeah.
Like, her legs feel broken. Oh, it's such a great...
It's
Ooh.
amazing.
It's very upsetting when she goes down. Because you're right, he's just a dude on a horse. At first you're kind of disappointed. But then he does this, and you're like, oh my god, this guy is actually, like, he means business. He's scary.
I still don't really like him because I don't know him, but his powers, being Alti's powers, that's very
Hardcore.
good.
And then they like joust.
Yeah, they do jousting.
They do a ridiculous joust. There is this really good shot once Xena's legs are quote unquote broken, where she's like desperately climbing in the mud and the camera's at this angle a little bit. And it totally reminded me of the quicksand scene in Return of Callisto with the desperate crawling there.
Nice.
And it's like the same kind of palette with the like mud and the sky. So yeah, good shit. Good shit,
Yeah,
TJ.
and she does a really cool thing where she makes a horse go and she like holds on to the stirrup
Yes.
and climbs up on the horse.
Yeah.
Like, again, without using her legs because they're busted.
Yeah, just drags herself away.
Yeah.
That's one we haven't seen.
Yeah.
Xena dragging herself on a horse.
It was good.
So then she kills the Berserker.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you in that this moment of her killing him is very under-directed. Like, I don't even, to this day, having seen it a few times, I can't tell you exactly how she offs him. It just kind of happens. He jumps onto the horse with her, and she just kind of, like, knocks him off, and he
Silly
dies.
kung fu stuff.
Yeah.
That I totally zone out on.
Yeah.
We didn't mention that she tries to do that same move where she, got the guy off the horse, and he beats her down. And then, like, when she rises, the Xena music.
Yeah, man.
Oh my god, this is the very first appearance of my favorite soundtrack cue, Oh Xena.
What?
In this season?
Ever. It's never appeared on the show before. Gentle listeners, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've heard it up until now.
I don't
Correct
know.
her because she's wrong.
It didn't seem new to me.
Oh my
at
god,
this
that's
point.
because I
She
sing
sings it every before we
week.
start every podcast.
I literally wake up in the morning and go, Oh Xena.
Well, I thought it was really great that, it made me laugh a little bit because it was like, okay, Xena, come on, you can do it, girl.
You can
come
do
on,
it,
come
Xena.
on. So anyway, she gets up again. After Xena kills the Berserker, her legs are still hurt.
That's weird. What the fuck's wrong with
They
that?
still feel broken,
It should be broken. I mean, the spell should be broken because she
Yeah.
killed the dude.
but the horse is still there, and the eyes are very fiery. And
She realizes, oh my god, the horse has been putting the hex on me.
I'm sorry. I'm still, like, caught up on this fact that was the first time that music was in this show.
I'm
I
positive.
was just so used to
I've
it
been
existing
listening.
that, like, I've
Yeah.
imagined it being there
Yeah.
previously, but, like, I just am so used to it in other things.
I'm
like,
telling
going
you,
forward.
I've been listening on tenterhooks for an entire year, waiting for this music to appear.
This is just
and-
I
amazing.
can't believe
Journey.
it's with the fucking Berserker.
Oh, see, it's a
Well, it's
great
with
moment. It's a great
Alti.
moment. Yeah, it's Xena versus Alti. It signals kind of the later movement of the show. It's
Anyway.
going to be all over the second half of the show.
Alti is here.
Alti is here.
Alti,
The call is coming from inside the horse.
she flirps out of the horse's head, her spirit that is, and runs away.
Yeah, just kind of shoots out of there. It's pretty hysterical as a visual.
Yeah, it made me laugh.
That fixes Xena's legs.
Yes.
So now Xena has a difficult situation to deal with. This new power of Altis, as she says to the Amazons. It's a toughie. This is an improv by Lucy Lawless. The original line was, "It's a tough one." She wanted to make it a little bit jokier, which I think is a great instinct. It's such a funny line.
It is too funny to end this episode on. It's just like an
It's a
odd
toughie.
choice.
I like it because this is some serious shit, and it's so Xena to kind of undercut the
Yeah.
serious shit with this like flippant line.
I mean, she performs it so well that
It's
I'm
a
like...
toughie. Ugh.
But yeah, so they're, oh my god, the closer they get to Alti, the more powerful she's going to be.
And
It's
this is
gonna be
such
rough.
it's such a good power, and it's like the power of editing, which I
Yeah.
love. I love that. Yeah, it's Robert Field like as the villain because he's just gonna cut together a great reel of all of Xena's most traumatic shit to torment her with.
It's so great.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Editing as villain. Love it.
So we come to the end of part 1 with this.
They have to beat Alti.
Yeah.
They just have to. I really like the way the to be continued looks over her face. It
Her
just
face
looks
looks
very,
really good here. Have
She-
we mentioned
it
how
looks really
good her
hip.
face looks?
I don't know why.
It's a good
Yeah,
face.
it's a good font.
Yeah, the font. It's good. I don't know. Just something about it. It's good. It looks cool. Her face is amazing throughout. This episode is my fucking favorite. I love this episode so much. Until we get to my
shit.
next favorite. This is definitely in my top 10. I don't know where on the top 10, but for sure. There's a lot going on, but at the same time, just the basic through line of it is this beautiful love story with her and Gabrielle. And I think it also contains some of the biggest things we need to put pins in for later.
Yeah, I mean, this whole conflict between do I go after my friend or do I correct this wrong?
Yeah,
That is-
and everything about that whole scene where she stops herself from going off to the volcano to find Gabrielle is such a beautiful scene, and it is interesting that it's just kind of in the middle of the episode. She says, "I love you," like so beautifully. It's just the best line delivery. But yeah, this whole thing that we're still continuing from season 1, you know, in the greater good, which was stuff that Xena brought up herself, and then, you know, the big crux of One Against an Army, which in that podcast, said was one of the most important episodes of the whole show, basically because you have this situation. And, you know, here Xena's like, I'll get back to Gabrielle some other time in the scene.
Yeah,
but like,
I think she
at
just
the end of the day,
readjusts her priorities.
Yeah, she's
yeah,
like,
I was
going to
ask you, Katie, like, what do you think Xena would do after saving the Amazons and defeating Alti? Like, would she go back? Go back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's not like she's making the choice to, like, live the rest of her life without Gabrielle. Mm-mm. She's just making the choice that this should come first.
Yep.
It's a good.
It's very good.
Help.
It'll be interesting to go into part 2.
Yeah.
Which is also good, but very different.
Yeah.
All right, well.
We're done?
We're done with this
one. Oh my God, well, it was my favorite, so we had to talk forever.
Yeah, and we sure did. You can follow us on all the stuff.
XenaWarriorPodcast.com, our official website. You can find links to Apple Podcasts. Please, if you are so inclined, you can subscribe and rate and leave reviews. Those are always great to see and help other people find the podcast. We are on Patreon at patreon.com/XenaWarriorPodcast, where you can listen to more podcasts and see kind of behind the scenes action. And tweets at Twitter. You can, yes, those where tweets live. At Xena Warrior Pod. We don't have 280 characters yet. Maybe someday.
Whoa, what will happen?
We'll have to transcribe all our favorite Xena speeches.
And Tumblr,
Xena Warrior Podcast. Facebook, Xena Warrior Podcast. Cool.
The power.
The passion.
The podcast.